Do, re, mi, fa, sol.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh,
Catch me on The Masked Singer 2027.
I need 2 years to prep. I'll be there, don't you worry. Hello and welcome to Adventures in Who, your local friendly gibby gabby stupid Doctor Who talk gibab. I'm Martin.
I'm Tash.
Hey, we're poking thumbs and waving arms today. That's the mood. That's the mood for this one. It's another chunky
I followed
one.
your lead.
Yeah, thank you. That's never wise. That's never a smart thing to do.
It's gonna be real girthy, folks.
It
so
is.
Buckle on in.
Chunky, girthy. We'll try and be timely, but no promises can be made here. Much like the other time we had to do this, because we got three episodes to go through today, and they happen to all have something quite pretty relevant to talk about in each of them, and they couldn't make it easy for me.
Nope.
I mean, one of them I don't have so much to talk about, but it's fine. We'll work it out. But before we jump into our reviews of Dot and Bubble, Rogue, and the Legend of Ruby Sunday, we do have to acknowledge and give our respects to William Russell, who sadly passed away a couple weeks ago at this point. William Russell was a part of the original TARDIS crew, and for all intensive purposes was basically the leading character of the show when it first started. The Doctor was very much enigmatic, and you didn't really know what the Doctor was doing, and you know, the show was called Doctor Who, but Doctor Who was very much like just sort of like doing stuff, and you're like, I don't know about this guy, but Ian was the one who was kind of leading a lot of the action a lot of the time, so it can't really be understated how important he was to the success of the show and people getting attached to that original cast of actors and making the whole thing work. 99 years old, that's a fucking good innings, and he certainly lived life. It wasn't just Doctor Who, he did a bunch of other things, all kinds of stuff, and of course was most recently got a Guinness Book of World Records, I'll get that out of my mouth, for being returning to a character who they played the biggest distance from when they originally or last played them, obviously again with playing Ian again, being in the Power of the Doctor at the end of the episode. You got that. He was going to appear in a Peter Davison episode, but he didn't want to do it, I believe, or scheduling, and they replaced it with the Brigadier. But he gets that Guinness Book of World Records now, baby. He's in there. Rightly so, goddammit.
Yeah, it was like 56 years or something.
Nothing but love and respect for William Russell, because by all accounts he was a lovely guy and was a great ambassador for the show, continued loving it all the way through his career when, you know, he could have, you know, that thing I did in 1963. We still talking about that, but no, he was all about it throughout his life. So yeah, rest in peace, William Russell. You shall be missed.
Oh, nothing but respect.
Yeah, absolutely. All right then, 3 episodes of good old Doctor Who to talk about. Kicking off, Dot and Bubble.
Yep.
Dot and Bubble. There's a future society who are literally bubbled in a gated community, and they're all young'uns. They're all youths who have been shipped off to this place, and they have a literal bubble around their heads. Inside their bubble, there's almost like there's a metaphor happening here that isn't on the nose at all about what it might be referring to. But there's something happening. It's not all fine in fine time. There's some sluggies skirting around the place, and people just seemingly falling into their mouths, and the Doctor and Ruby are trapped outside. They can't get in to help, so they have to work through a character whose name ends in Bean. Is it Bean? I keep thinking of Jelly Bean. That's her name. It's Lindy, isn't it? It's Lindy.
Yeah.
Lindy.
No, she's pretty far down the list in terms of last names.
Yeah, that's because that's crucial. So I was like, it can't be Bean, because she'd be dead so fucking quick if it was Bean. Hold on.
Mhm.
I'm going to look this up. Lindy Pepperbean. There is Bean. Oh my god, I was right. It's Pepperbean. That's what it was. I shouldn't have doubted myself. I knew it was Bean. I knew Bean was involved in there somewhere.
Beans are always involved.
It's true. They do come up more often than you'd think. So yeah, Doctor and Ruby act through
Mhm.
Lindy and try to figure out what's going on / get her out alive as
Mhm.
these slugs are doing on. But there may be a double twist in this tale as
Double,
things
double.
progress. Tash,
Yep. Yes.
first impressions of Dot and Bubble. What did you think about this episode once it finished?
Yeah, I didn't hate it.
Uh-huh.
I feel like we could have just gotten rid of Space Babies and replaced it with Dot and Bubble. It was middle of the road for
Mm-hmm.
me.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't care. Like for a Dr. Light episode, I just didn't care about the people that were dying.
Yeah. I mean, I
I
think that's
was like,
fair.
I don't want to keep listening to this. Which is the point though.
It's the point. It is the
Yeah,
point.
yeah, it was the point of the show, you know, like just but it was middle of the road. I think like had a pretty impactful ending that I think
Mm-hmm.
people either love or hate. Tough message at the ending.
Mm-hmm.
Tough to have a situation where it's another Dr. Light episode, but I think doing it via like kind of like that digital space was
Yes.
smart. You know, like it didn't feel like
They felt more
it felt
present.
like it felt like more realistic. I mean, I say realistic even though it's a futuristic style. Like it just fit in pretty well for what they were able to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, middle of the road for me. I actually did kind of enjoy the end. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I just really hated Lindsay's character, and I was like, mm, what do you mean you can't walk? You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that was the point of it. That was I'm making another statement,
No, yeah,
as we're seeing a lot.
it is interesting when you have something, and you know, there's many things I've done this where it's actively telling a story about people you don't like,
Yeah, yeah.
and like how do you get the audience on board with that for the majority of
Hmm.
it? Because obviously for the
Yep.
majority of the episode, I mean, I was just like you very quickly. I was like, I cannot stand these people.
Yep.
I can't
100%.
stand anyone.
Yeah. Hmm.
But there's this element of, so what am I going to be invested in? If I'm not invested in their survival,
Yeah.
what am I invested in? So
Hmm.
I did find myself getting invested in the Doctor and Ruby trying to figure out, like, I think adding in the mystery of why certain people weren't being eaten, and like that helped
Yeah,
things, and like
definitely.
it's like at least
Yeah.
there's that I can cling on to and go like, so why is this happening? I think I feel like based on what you're saying, I liked this maybe a little bit more than what you did overall, even though your point about not being caring about the main character because you don't like them is extremely valid. I felt the same
Yeah,
way.
yeah. I mean, I would say like I think they did the best with what they could have done, and I did enjoy the end, and I enjoyed Paul's character for sure.
Mhm. Gothic
Yeah, it was
Paul,
just tough. I was like, yeah, not Gothic Paul. What is the other one's name? Ricky Savage. Is it Ricky?
Ricky September. Yeah.
It's Ricky September. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
That's interesting. I
Um,
do want to talk about good old September Boy because
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But anyways, I think it wasn't like it felt a little bit more like who Doctor Who-ish. Didn't hate it.
Mm-hmm.
Also wasn't like this is great either.
Mm-hmm. It,
Yeah.
a
But
lot of people have described it as a kind of like a Black Mirror episode, which is, I think
mhm,
it's a fair shout. It does feel very Black Mirror. I think even Russell had described it as a kind of Black Mirror like episode.
mhm,
The thing about Black Mirror though, when it's good, because the quality of Black Mirror goes up and down, but when it's good, the point of
mhm.
it is that it doesn't hold back its punches and it has a lot of
Yeah,
bite to it. Whereas, how
yeah,
do you do that with a kid-friendly
yeah.
show? Like, how do you do that? And I think like the ending kind of just about did it, and then obviously when you
Mhm,
rewatch the episode, it recontextualizes everything that's happening.
mhm.
So I like that about it, and I've said that many times. I like Doctor Who stories where you can rewatch it and you'll get a different experience of the viewing,
Yep.
even though
Yeah,
I already didn't like the, even though I didn't like the characters already. I just don't like them even more.
yeah.
but funny that, like, if you say these are awful people, oh, they're also space
Mhm.
racists. Okay, okay,
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
extra don't
Let's
like.
add more. Yeah.
Okay, I'll go through some of the things I did like, and the first
Mhm.
things is I did, even though it is a Doctor Light episode, and for the most part, I tend to not enjoy the Doctor Light episodes just because
Mhm.
I just think Doctor Who's better when the Doctor's there. Funny enough, um, but I did like how they kind of got around it by making them feel present, even though they probably only had like 2 days shooting that stuff. But I felt like they were spaced in enough where it felt like they were a part of the things that were happening, even though
Mhm.
they technically weren't. Also, I really like the direction on this because the same director as 73 Yards. This poor director comes in and he gets 2 episodes where shoot, he's barely there. He barely gets to
Yeah.
direct the Doctor, but I think I hope he gets to come back next season. I don't know if they've announced the directors or not for next season or not, but I think both 73 Yards and this episode are probably two of the most stylish directed episodes. Like he makes a lot of cool compositions and he knows where to put the
Mhm.
camera in some interesting places, and like the first reveal of the slugs with Lindy looking through the gaps in the bubble,
Yeah.
and like
Mhm.
he knows how to frame all of that stuff. Like
Yeah.
I really hope he gets a bet like a kind of a bigger Doctor Adventure kind of episode to do, because I think he's good. And I joked about it on the 73 Yards review. You can clearly see where he's kind of pulling things from. Like there was some last week,
Mhm.
there was a lot of Edgar Wright stuff that he was using, and here there was some Kubrick stuff you could tell he was doing, and that's just film snobbery stuff. But I liked seeing it, and it just,
Yeah.
especially compared to um Legend of Ruby Sunday, which we'll get to,
Mhm.
which I felt was kind of a lot of that was kind of fairly flat directing, other than some key moments. But Ruby, I really like. Like I've just suddenly hit upon this thing that I genuinely really enjoy. Ruby, I think she's really good. Like there's a
No, I'm glad.
go go and rewatch Ruby's reaction to Gothic Paul getting killed because it's fucking hysterical. It's so funny. Her face when he's getting eaten. It's so funny. I was like, the first time I watched it, I just watched him getting eaten, so I wasn't paying attention to all the
Mhm.
reactions of everyone else as it was happening, and I just caught Ruby, and I was like, and I rewinded it again. It's like that's really fucking funny.
Mhm.
And then obviously I did enjoy, even though the metaphor of the episode is very on the nose. It doesn't, like, it's not even hiding it. It's not even attempting to hide it. But
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
I did enjoy. To me, this felt like what when Russell was writing like the sci-fi storylines, like in his wheelhouse, when he's got an idea, a clear idea, and he's focused in on that idea, and he's
Mhm.
not waving his hands around, doing all the stuff we usually criticize him for. He's like, I know what I'm seeking to achieve with this episode,
Mhm.
so I really liked it more for that. I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, that's most of the stuff that I did really enjoy. Oh, also the dot going through Ricky September's head was fucking brutal.
Yeah.
I was like,
That
geez,
was a kill shot.
they were skirting the line with that one. That
Yeah.
I felt it. I was like, God damn, that was that was good. What was there? Was there anything that you did like? Anything like you can just go wherever you want to go. Like what stuff did you like?
Like the concept of like, why are these monsters waiting type of
Mm-hmm.
thing? Like when there's just a city quite literally filled with idiots. Like, you know, uh, that was a good way to kind of write that in. I really did enjoy, like I said, I enjoyed the end. I feel like it was not just like a metaphor for like what was currently happening
Mm-hmm.
within the show, but also like a metaphor for the reactions that people had towards the new doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like I don't know. I mean, you know me. I love a good lecture episode. I know not everyone does, but so yeah, I enjoyed the end and like just like seeing that emotional side of Shooty of like I want to save you even though you're being so extremely fucking vile
Mm-hmm.
to me. Because not like we know that the doctor isn't always compassionate and the doctor has rage and like
Mm-hmm.
we're supposed to be seeing this more healed version of the doctor, which kind of seems like throughout the season is not very, very much so the
No.
case. But you could see it like in that moment of like, I just want to save you. Like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
hate you. I just want to save you. And you're
Yeah.
being idiots. So like just let me save you. You know, like there's like a desperation in that of like at this point the doctor has seen so much death. Every doctor to their extent has seen so much death, but like just let me do something to help and that kind of desperation. I enjoyed that moment and I think like I each time I'm watching I feel like Shuri like is kind of like starting to click in a little bit more.
Yeah.
However, like there's in other episodes this week that we saw there's other things where I'm like I don't I don't know if this doctor's all that healed, but
Yeah.
I'm here for the journey.
I was gonna bring
But
that up as
yeah,
well. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But for the context of this episode, it was a very like the whole time I was like, I don't care about these people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, really don't care.
Yeah.
Don't care.
Which I think is fair.
Um, it was nice though to get that like emotional, like at the end, like, okay, like I care for the doctor.
Yeah.
Like the emotion was tied there, just kind of seeing like trying to sit there and help and then kind of feel useless to some extent and you're relying on one person to try save these people and that one person is just fucking god awful to work with, you know? They're being so patient too. Like they're being so
Mm-hmm.
patient when they're like kind of coming across on the screen and stuff and like I think Millie and Shooty did like a really good job.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So since we're there, and we're talking about the things we enjoyed, the ending. There's so many layers going on in that ending, which I really
Mhm.
liked, and it was really interesting seeing the opinions of that ending scene, what it meant to people, why some
Mhm.
people liked it, why some people didn't, and I think some people had some genuine like reasons why they didn't like it. Like I
Mhm.
was genuinely very interested to see what like the black community made of that ending and
Yeah.
whether it worked for them. And there were some people who really liked it. They liked that
Mhm.
the doctor was still extending compassion even in the face of what was being thrown at
Mhm.
him. And vice versa. There were people with equally as valid, like, why is he being nice to these fucking awful people?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
Like they
is,
don't deserve this.
yeah, like, it's obviously a
Mhm.
perception on that that I will never fully understand. So that's why I
Mhm.
was interested to try and go and seek that out, see what people thought about it. And I was like,
Yeah.
you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But I think
Mhm.
ultimately, isn't it? I guess it's kind of a matter of how does the doctor see himself
Yeah.
in that moment?
Yeah.
Like, and obviously, like we've had that we know that the doctor, because of the timeless child, has been black before. Have they
Mhm.
run into this kind of thing before? Like we like that's all kind of up in the
Mhm.
air, and that's maybe that's why the 15th Doctor responds to it in the way that they do. For me, it came across as, like you say, like almost felt like the Doctor was trying to, even in the face of this, the Doctor is trying to prove to himself that I can still be better than that. Because
Yeah.
the Doctor's motto to me, like the motto he tries to live by to the best of his ability, is that if I succumb to this, I'm no better than they are.
Yeah.
And that's what it felt like to me. And it felt
Yeah.
very, and it just felt very doctorly to me for him to be like, especially in the context of these are a bunch of stupid kids who have been brought up to think this way and they've never fought for themselves. They've never had to think literally outside of their bubble. There's that metaphor. They've never had to.
Yeah.
And he's desperately just trying to reach out and say, "Listen, you did all this. You survived. Just think for yourself and don't do the stupid thing. don't
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
be stupid."
Mhm.
And that felt very doctory to me. Like he's trying to see past the hate and see like how can I help this.
I was gonna say, like, this is post the Rosa Parks episode
Mm-hmm.
with Yaz and Ryan, right?
Yep.
This is post like all of the Timeless Child stuff and just seeing how much destruction can be made and like kind of when, during the anniversary episodes of Standing at the Edge of the Universe and just kind of contemplating, like, how much was lost that the Doctor has seen. Like,
Hmm.
you can kind of I could kind of see where it's like, no matter what, like, it seems like all life is important at this moment.
Hmm.
Um, After seeing so much destruction, and so I can see why the Doctor would be compassionate in that way. I can also see why people wanted, like, that rage and, like, "No, get fucked,"
Yeah.
type of thing, but I think it was part of, like, the overall message, I feel like, with society right now of just, like, I don't just, like, let go of the hate.
It's one of those where I feel like, obviously, if you're coming at it with a level head, because obviously some people will hate this for the sake of hating it and for stupid reasons.
Mhm.
But if you're
Yep.
looking at it through, like, with your brain, and you,
Mhm.
and like I said, the people who had those criticisms of it, I can't say that those criticisms weren't valid based on how they were framing it. It feels weird saying it based on it, but it's like the Doctor isn't just like a black man in this scenario. He's a
Mhm.
1,000-year-old alien who's had a bajillion different faces for all we know, and all of
Yep.
that is coming into why he reacts the way that he does in that moment.
Yep.
Obviously,
Yeah.
he is still, you can see it. He plays it extremely well because he's playing both that side of it and he's playing the side of it where
Mhm.
I'm sure he's had reactions like that in his day-to-day life that is probably very
Mhm.
raw and real, and he's obviously bringing that to it as well, and you can see the pain of that interaction, but
Mhm.
like I say, trying to rise above it and be the Doctor
Yeah.
essentially
Yeah.
in that moment.
Yeah.
um but yeah, it was very visceral and just a very guttural performance, and just the way he laughs out of disbelief is real. It's
Yeah.
just really impactful. It's just like
Yeah.
I just can't. I can't believe this is happening. There's people literally on a
Mhm.
boat going to their
Going
deaths
to die. Yeah.
because they don't want to be near me. I just can't.
Yeah.
It's yeah,
Yeah.
and I have to say I think Millie did a good job in that scene where she's trying to both comfort him but also know that she like probably not the best time to intervene because he just needs to vent it out. Um,
Mhm.
so she was doing the reacting as acting is
Yeah.
reacting, so she was doing good as well. And just her when she realized what was going on, and she was just like, I can't. I can't even, like, it felt like
Yeah.
it almost felt like she was about to like go off on one, but the Doctor quickly interjected and was like, I'm gonna try and reach out to them even though they're being like this.
Yeah. 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 When you're handling something with race, like, it's a bold move,
Hmm.
and you also don't wanna add more fuel to the fire for,
Hmm.
like, you know what I mean? It was a bold move to make.
Yeah.
Um, like, I don't think it was necessarily bad, and I think everyone who, like, is a person of color and from that community
Hmm.
is entitled to feel how they wanna feel about it,
Yes.
right? Like, we can't speak for them.
Yes.
Um, and I think the criticism is valid. Um, and I think, like, I would hope when consulting and kind of coming up with the idea for how to, like, fit this in for Shooty, that they consulted people in the community
Yeah. And
that were on their team.
we have no idea if they did or didn't. If
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. I mean, maybe someone knows. I don't know if they've released this kind of information, but it
Mhm.
is the sort of script and idea that you would, like you say, you would hope
Yeah.
that they would run it past like a black script editor or writer or
Mhm.
someone who could be just like, no, I think this works. I think you're okay with this because Russell,
Yeah.
although being a gay man who has obviously come up against people who have discriminated against him because of that, it's
Yeah.
a very different experience, and you want someone who's had that
Mhm.
experience to be able to
Yeah.
say, no, this is okay. You're good. Like,
Yeah, yeah, you wanna make sure you're telling the right story and not
mhm,
just what you think the story should be,
yes,
Like, you'd yeah. So, I would hope so, I would hope so, but I think, like, it seemed as though it was pulled off all right, you
mhm,
know?
yes. But we're not blind to the fact that we are a
No.
couple of white
Yeah.
people who have not had that
Yeah.
experience, and
Mhm.
like, so yeah, we can only respond to
Yep.
it with our perception, and
Mhm.
I think Shui did a great job, and I think it ultimately did what it was setting out to do. Right, on to things that I didn't like about the episode, because there were a couple of things. There were a couple of things that did kind of have me scratching my head a little bit. One, we'll just get this out of the way. 2 Dr. Light episodes in a row was a choice.
Yeah, that was a choice.
I don't know if it was the right choice, and I don't know how you would reorder the episodes necessarily to make it work. Obviously, we talked about this on the previous episode, and other people have mentioned this, that this series was kind of shuffled around a little bit, potentially, maybe. But yeah, I do think because I think it has certainly impacted my reaction to Ncuti's Doctor, having 2 Doctor Light episodes back to back, where I still, even at this point, at the end of the season, feel like I don't really feel like I'm connecting with him as the Doctor. He's doing a really good performance, and he's magnetic, and you can't take your eyes off him. But in terms of being the Doctor, I'm not quite there with him yet. Like, I mean, and it's the same issues I've had with, like I mentioned previously, it's the same issues I had with the 10th Doctor. It's he is very human, and he seems to be encouraged to play it that way, and it's being written that way, which it's a personal thing. It's just, it doesn't work so much for me. I feel like that makes the character not as interesting. I know I'm just of a group of people who feel that way. That's not everyone. Some people love it when that's the direction you take with the Doctor, and that's completely fine. I'm just saying, for me, that's I as much as I am enjoying his performance and he's fun to look at and watch him bounce around and do his thing, I do feel slightly like he's not quite the Doctor for me, and I don't know if that's because there have been 2 Doctor Light episodes in a season of 8 episodes, which you know, it's a thing they couldn't control. We want this actor, we want him to do it, we have to start shooting now. It's a whole thing. So I don't know. We alluded to it, walking without the bubble. Now, so Lindy cannot walk without the guidance of her bubble. Now, I get this is another metaphor, and I guess it's kind of smart for that. She can't walk her own 2 feet without this bubble to help guide her, and you know, it's another metaphor within the metaphor, and I completely get it. I just found it like, it's not like she's never used her legs before.
No,
I don't know if there's science behind this or not, so maybe I'm talking completely out of my ass. Like, if your brain was wired to only walk when you have clear instructions on how to do it, then that, if you suddenly take that away, then maybe that would fuck with you. I don't know. But I feel like someone who clearly walks to work every single day wouldn't have as much trouble per se. Like, she's just all over the place for a while there. So that did feel like a little bit of a stretch for me, even though metaphor of it all, I get it, but yeah.
Even that, or like when she opens the elevator and it's telling her to go straight forward, and she sees a literal monster coming for her. I'm like, I just don't.
She just stands there. She's just like, I'm not gonna do anything.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just that felt so that, like, it just felt a little bit too far for me. Where I was just like, I get it, but there's like natural survival instincts that would kick into play, whether it be like adrenaline or something else, right? It wasn't even like a freeze and panic situation. It was just like, well, this is telling me to go forward, and I don't want to listen to you telling me not to go forward, but there's a monster in my way, and like I don't know. Like, I was
it's hard not to put yourself into it and be like, well, if that was me, I would definitely not just stand there. I guess there's a case of, there's an argument to be made about like fight, flight, or freeze.
It just didn't even seem like freeze though. It just seemed like stubbornness.
Right.
I was like, I don't want to listen to you, so I'm just gonna stand here and potentially almost get you. Yeah,
it was a bit of a
I hated that
stretch for me
character
as well.
so much.
She did. Like,
I hated that character so much.
The actor did an incredible job of making that character come to life, but it's so like, you're right. It's like, I do not like you so much. I really do not like you.
I'm rooting for your downfall.
Yeah,
Please just get off the screen.
I'm Team Slug. Thank you very much.
Honestly, what did the slugs ever do besides follow a contract? Okay.
Oh god. While we're talking about the slugs,
Yeah.
so first things first, I'll say this because it's a good thing, which leads into a question which might be a bad thing. I really enjoyed the slugs, how they looked. They were just an old school, gooey, disgusting Doctor Who monster that just lumbers around.
Just slugging.
Just eating people. Some good body horror, legs sticking out of mouths and, grossness. This episode was pretty gross. It was pretty brutal in a lot of ways. Which, yay. More brutal killings in Doctor Who, please. Kids TV.
Give us more blood.
More blood. More
blood.
But yeah, I did. When the first I saw them, I was like, yeah, that's a Doctor Who monster for your book right there.
Yeah.
But it did lead me to ask the question especially as I was rewatching it last night. These bugs or slugs, the line says that they were created by the AI, whatever that might mean. So that somehow this AI has created these slugs. Imagination, they have some way of doing that. To then, as we say, alphabetically kill everyone because it has learnt to hate all these people, just like the audience. And to just start eating everyone. We then learn that the dot can just murder these people itself anyway. So it does bring up the question: why even make the slugs and do it this way? Why didn't just all of the dots just go, you know what, fuck this, and just simultaneously just behead everyone at the same time?
I will say, in terms of that, like, it just all seemed really weird. Like, I still have so many questions, right? Because, like, the home planet, from what we see, is completely destroyed by slugs as well. It just felt, like, incomplete in terms of, like, what was happening. Like, obviously, the AI hated them and that, but, like, it didn't explain, did the AI hate all of them? Like, their parents, too? Like, did they even have real parents? How long have they been here? Or they just sitting here as babies?
Was it just the
or
rich people
teenagers?
that they were targeting,
Like,
the elite of this society that...
but then the whole home planet seems destroyed. And, like,
It's
was that even real? Are these the space babies that are...
The society does lack on nuance.
I just am so, like,
they're all bad.
confused.
They're all bad. They all deserve to be eaten by slugs. Not a single one of them was a three-dimensional human being. They're all space racists. Eat them all. But
yeah, like, when we see that Susan Twist is Lindy's mom, like, I just, do they even really have parents? I'm just so confused.
I mean, to me, it felt like these, obviously, the rich kids, elites, and the parents are like, get them out of my get them out of my fucking hair, basically. But no, you're right. I think that is a valid, like, I just need to know a little bit more about this society, because clearly there is a higher class and a lower class. We've learned that the hard way. And did the AI wipe out all of the finger quotations lower class of this society, or did or what? Like, that, it's the question to ask for sure.
I just feel like that's my gripe with every single episode, is like just a little bit more,
just a line, some sort of line of dialogue.
Like just something a little bit more that would be like, for just a little bit more context, I think, to not make it feel like, as we said, like just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks, like, I think that's just like my whole vibe this season.
I think, honestly, what that is, I think, to me, is a byproduct of, I've said this for years now, is that you're trying to cram a Doctor Who story into 45 minutes, which is really hard to do, because, like Stephen Moffat has said in the past, in order to do a Doctor Who story, you basically have to come up with a movie-size idea and then jam it into 45 minutes. And that's the sort of stuff that gets lost in the sauce when you've got just that time window to work with. Like, you kind of have to, like, do I sacrifice giving more context and detail on this in order just to get the plot moving continuously? And I don't know. And, like, I guess when you were younger, you aren't so concerned with those finer details. You're just more in the moment. So maybe that's a thing to consider. But no, I think you're right. And I've been saying, like, I feel like Doctor Who episodes should be 60 minutes. Like, I feel like
Yeah. Oh,
they
definitely.
they should be an hour long.
Yeah.
I feel like that would
Yeah.
resolve a lot of that just right off the bat. I mean, it's interesting I say that though, because then I think about The Legend of Ruby Sunday, and I feel like that episode, we'll get there eventually, has a lot of
Eventually.
waffle in it, where you don't necessarily need it to be, because it feels like
Yeah.
that episode stretches its runtime because it is obligated to be as long as it is, and then not do all of the fun stuff until the finale, kind of thing. We'll get there, but
Yep. Yep.
yeah, it does bring up questions. You're right. There's questions to be had about how this society actually works, or if they're just blanket all bad. Next question. Ricky, our boy Ricky September.
Yeah.
Do we think, and it leads into what we're just saying, do we think Ricky September was a space racist or not? Because I saw a lot of discourse about this, whether or not people felt that he was, because he's a part of the society, so he was very Aryan. He's extremely Aryan. But
yeah,
it's I felt, having rewatched the episode yesterday, when he sees the Doctor and Ruby, like some people said he's quite snippy with the Doctor when the Doctor explains how the code works, but I didn't really get that impression from it. It's just like, no, I know how it works. Don't worry, I got this. And the Doctor was actively like saying how hot he was to his face, and I feel like and
I feel like there was like a cheeky smirk there too,
exactly,
from Ricky. Yeah.
So I feel like if he was a space racist, he would have said something there and then and been like, "Don't you fucking talk to me like that." If that's how he felt.
I am not an object of your affection.
Yeah, exactly. And it felt like the whole point of that character, because he was literally getting out of his bubble regularly. The whole point of that is that he was educating himself and was like looking at the world from a different point of view and was more interested in what else there was to learn. And to me, it felt like Ricky may have been a part of that society. He may have thought like that at some point, but the whole point is that he has dropped his bubble and he is seeking to educate himself. That's the impression I got from that character. Like like I say, he seemed pretty happy to see the Doctor and Ruby from what I could tell. I don't know where people got the snippy attitude from. Myself.
Yeah, I don't think I saw him like, and obviously this is coming from two white people, but
Yes.
I don't think I saw him have the same characteristics as the rest of the community that you see, because their reaction is really fucking drastic, right?
Yes.
Like, it not even like that they're like having a big emotion, but their like faces, their demeanor, everything says so much beyond just Lindsay when you kind of get to that end scene. And I don't think you got that from Ricky. And I think like Ricky seemed to like just kind of want to keep working on a solution and try to protect Lindsay the best that he could, even when he looks and like everyone on the whole planet's dead. He's like, oh, like, like he's trying to take on the role of like not crumbling, kind of just like, okay, solution based. And I feel like the Doctor was also trying to be solution based. So whatever anyone's opinion was, they had put it aside to focus on a solution. I didn't get the sense that he like hated the Doctor though, or like I felt like it was like a little bit of like cheeky banter.
Yeah.
And I think like we're seeing a lot of like with Ruby and just like the other characters that we're seeing throughout the season, there's a lot of people that are like matching kind of the Doctor's energy in terms of intelligence and like being like, you're not all that hot, my dude. Like I also know things, you know what I mean? I feel like some parts that's pretty humbling for the Doctor this season. And we've loved, like we've seen people put the Doctor in their place before, especially Catherine Tate. Donna's character does it really well. But yeah, I didn't see it as like racism. I saw it as like just trying to like do problem solving while Lindsay is doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
The most useless fucking person in the world. Yeah, it's just so tragic. It's such a symbolism of like people are trying to be good people and then just get shut down.
Yeah.
And end up not being the winners. And like that sucks. And it can be really discouraging.
Yeah.
It's tough to watch.
It felt
it's
like
tough to watch Paul Ricky die. I don't know why I keep calling him Paul.
It did feel like the point of Ricky was that had he made it to the end, he would have gone with them. Like that's kind of
with the Doctor
yeah.
or with I think Ricky would have too. I think Ricky would have been like, I don't
Yeah.
You listen.
Listen, like, there's only one
Let's
option
just
here.
come on. Yeah. Like, holy crap. Yeah, it was kind of like that self-education of like people don't always have to hold your hands to tell you that you need to learn the world around you
Yeah.
and shouldn't have to. But as society, we've kind of made it the opposite, where people are raised a certain way and want to believe a certain thing and don't want to branch out and kind of like learn things for themselves.
I mean, there was clearly like, it's again a reflection of Lindy and like the microaggressions that are seeded throughout the episode, and that
Yeah.
when the doctor is reaching out to try and help her, she's very like reluctant and it's like, I don't want to talk to you. And then the moment her literal white savior shows up, she's all aboard kind of thing. So there's also that element of it.
Yeah, until she's freaking not. I
Until
don't know why I
she's
keep
the
messing
most
up her name and freaking Ricky's name. Like, I just keep messing it up. I
Yeah.
don't know why. It's not even intentional.
Out
Like,
of
I have my
anger.
notes in front of me with their actual names, probably. Like, it was just so unimportant to me, and I was like, your name could be Karen for all I care.
Oh God.
Sorry.
No.
I just know there's people listening being like, that's not their names, and I know it's not their names. I know, goddammit.
Just call
all
it
the way.
Bean. Just call it Bean from now on. It's fine.
No, because we like beans, and
We like
I don't
beans, it's
like
No, so yeah,
can't taint the bean.
I feel, yeah, we're on the same page. I think Ricky was ultimately, even though he probably was a part of that society, the point of him is that he's educated himself. And
yeah,
that moment when I knew I hated her already, but the moment just how
the
abhorrent
door's
she
open.
was. Yeah.
It's open. It's fucking open.
For me, I felt like I saw that this is exactly the kind of thing she would do when it happened.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so it wasn't, for me, it wasn't that much of a surprise that she did it.
Yeah.
It was just that, like, shock moment of, oh, we're really just putting a seal on what sort of person she is. And, like I say, I think the brutality of the dot going through his head and how they shot that, and, like, they didn't, like, it was clever to have the red light of the dot kind of mask the blood, basically, as it goes through. As it goes through.
It was a shot. I also don't understand. There's loopholes. I know I should just let it go, but like, wouldn't the AI know that's not Paul? That wasn't. Why do you keep saying Paul? God damn it, Ricky's last name. Wouldn't the AI know that wasn't Ricky's last name?
I mean, yeah.
Like, if it's
probably
intelligent enough to like build a slug race to take out these humans that it hates.
Yeah.
You know?
That is, like, with this episode, that is kind of the cracks in the armor, is just the logic of how the AI is working. And maybe you could put it down to AI. It's like, is how intelligent actually is AI.
Yeah.
I guess you could put it down to that. Like, in its infinite wisdom, it decided to make slugs to kill everyone. Like, you have to question, like, was this really that's the best you could? Okay, slugs it is. You do you, flying dot.
Yeah. That's why I was wondering if there was like some sort of like bigger contract that kind of took over with the AI to do it in this way, because it seems like it's a very entertaining way to kill the humans, and maybe the AI wants to enjoy the entertainment, but it also seems like this entertainment for someone else?
Yeah, I did think at one point, was someone else doing something behind the scenes with the AI? I did have that thought, like, if someone's hacked in or is using the AI to get rid of them. And I don't know, I don't think so, but I guess it could come round that that's the case, and like it could be this mysterious, the boss person who we still haven't got any further information on, but I doubt it. It seems like it was just the AI, which is crazy to have two crazy AI episodes so close to each other as well, thinking about it. But yeah, that's it. That's all I've got notes-wise for Dot and Bubble. I think, like I say, ultimately, I feel like I did like it maybe a little bit more than what you did. I think the direction and the designs of this fine time place, this weird, like, just offensively fake place. Like, everything about it. It's just so, like, which, you know,
it's like the Love Island villa,
right?
You know?
Exactly
it was literally just like, I'm like, oh my god, there are people like this out there. I know it.
I did notice on
Yeah.
rewatching it, I guess because I was looking for it this time, I did notice a lot of triangle imagery, which, you know, pyramids, Sutek. I guess that was a lot.
Oh, I didn't think about that. I just went straight to Illuminati. I was like, these fucking white ass rich people.
I guess that's that as
Just
well.
straight to Illuminati
Yeah,
is where I went.
that's
Yeah,
fair.
I guess. I guess.
But yeah, in conclusion for me, although, like I said earlier, it is like a Black Mirror episode with not the same amount of bite and punch as a good Black Mirror episode would have. But how do you do that with a family-friendly audience, I guess? So I feel like it did as best as it could with that in mind. I like the direction. Ncuti's performance at the end was really good. It felt both simultaneously very doctorish and also addressing the topic of which it is about. Also, his best outfit is fucking criminal that he's in this outfit for this one scene. That's the best Doctor outfit he's had this entire season, and he's in it for one scene.
Every time we talk, I'm like, I already know. Good old it's gonna be like the fucking outfit.
That outfit, that was the best one, goddammit. That has been the best one. And
that's the one that was kind of advertised too.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I guess because they took those photos his first day of shooting, which this was.
Yeah. And like I think that's another important thing is like, couldn't you imagine like your first kind of filming experience and you're playing that role? Like you have to come into the Doctor to play that.
It's a heavy scene to do, first thing.
Yeah. And I think like that was pretty well pulled off with the context provided, you know?
Yeah, I did see the interviews that Russell was a bit like, is this how we start his day filming on Doctor Who? We give him this, like, this thing that he's probably already dealing with when he gets announced as this character, and we're going to just throw him into the fire straight away. But, you know, he's a professional when he does his job at the, at the end of the day. And
yeah, there's a lot of symbolism there beyond just society, but probably what Ncuti's going through a little bit. And yeah. Just it just provides a little bit more context. Well, like not everyone would know that or would watch the interviews or care to know that. Like it does provide a little bit more context, and I think like as Doctor Who fan base that's been invested for a long time, like we look for context.
Not an easy first day at work, but he certainly rose to the occasion. I think it's fair to say. So rating wise, slugs. How many slugs out of 10 am I giving this? I still think Boom is my favorite, so it doesn't go above that.
Boom was pretty good.
I think I'm gonna put it at a 7. Half tempted by a 6.5, but I think 7. I feel like I'm gonna give it a 7. I'm tempted to give it a 6.5, but if there hadn't been 2 Dr. Light episodes, it would have been like a definite 7. If that makes any sense whatsoever. So it
does. It's your investment within the Doctor throughout the episode.
Yeah. So I'm going to give this 7 slugs out of 10.
7 slugs?
Yeah.
I'm going to give it 6.
6? Yeah.
Yeah. And by like, I know we say this all the time, but our rating system, like a 5 is a perfectly good episode.
Yes.
So I'm going to give it a 6 based on the ending, and everyone's performance towards the ending is kind of what made it redeemable for me.
Are you saying it would have been like a 5, but then the ending came in and sort of elevated?
Yeah. I think so. I think if it was written differently and like didn't have the points that I was trying to make, I would have been like, that was a waste of my time.
I do have to ask the question because people will be wondering, because this was brought up in the interviews as well. Was there a point in the episode where you felt Lindy wasn't just being Lindy? That she was actually like a racist? Was there a moment before the reveal where you caught on to that?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Literally, me and my partner were watching it, and like within the first 5 minutes, I'm like, I don't see any people that are not white. I'm not kidding. That was literally one of the first things, and I was like, this seems, and he was like, yeah, this seems problematic. Like, there's only white people, and I'm like. Like immediately I was
true.
like, yeah.
True.
Like I was like, I don't know about this. Like this just seems like something else is going on. So I think I picked up on it because of that. And like I don't know, I feel like I'm so just sensitive to that stuff nowadays. Like,
Yeah.
I can
Um.
go on a rant about everything so easily with society. So I think I picked that up. That I was like, there's only white people. Like
Mhm.
even you don't even see them physically, right? You're seeing in the
The
bubble
bubbles. Yeah.
a fucking constant spanning of just white people. And I was like, I don't
I would say,
we're in space, man.
yeah. I'll be honest. Like at first, I didn't catch on to it. The moment that
Hmm.
did catch on for me, where it felt like at first it felt a bit weird with how she was
Hmm.
treating the doctor versus how she was treating Ruby.
Hmm.
Like she was instantly more open to Ruby than she was the doctor, which was like,
Yeah.
that's odd. But
Yeah.
then the line where she says, "I thought you just looked the same," was just
Hmm.
much too pointed. Where I was just like, okay, there's no way that wasn't that wasn't
Yeah.
by design.
Yeah.
So there was
That was intentional.
yeah. So that was sort of the point where I was like, okay, I see what we're
Yeah.
doing here. um, but no, it's interesting. It's an interesting question because obviously Russell put that in the behind the scenes. He was
Hmm.
like I do wonder when people will catch on to that. And I've seen a bunch of people since this episode aired a few weeks ago now, talking
Hmm.
about that point. And there were
Yeah.
some people who didn't notice until the very end
Hmm.
that was the case. And there were some people who, like me, sort of caught onto the dialogue being
Hmm.
too pointed, and then there's people like you who just instantly were like, "There's literally only white people here."
Yeah.
I feel like for a lot of people, like, I mean, that's obviously you're just like you said, you're sensitive to it, so you sort of just noticed
Yeah.
it immediately. I don't think it's the audience's fault necessarily for completely not catching that straight away, because
Yeah.
traditionally, as much as progressive as Doctor Who is, especially in the last few years, it's a very white show.
Yeah.
It's a very white show. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like for a lot of people they would have been like, oh, that's okay. It's just that's who they've cast, I
Hmm.
guess. Um,
Hmm.
but no, it is like an interesting point. But yeah, Dot and Bubble, everyone. Sci-fi with something to say, and Russell kind of stuck to the idea, so that's nice. We like it when Russell does that. So yeah, 7 out of 10 slugs, 6 out of 10 slugs, kind of in the same kind of ballpark. Dot and Bubble, everyone. Onwards to Rogue.
Indy's favorite episode. I mean, Martin's favorite episode ever.
My favorite episode.
Martin
I
loves
love romance.
love a
I
romance.
love a romance, especially when the Doctor's involved. It's my favorite thing in the world.
No, it is. I know it is. Can I just make a statement
Go
though?
on,
Like
go for it.
off of it, I need to get it. I needed to get it out. I
Go
need
on.
to get it out. Everybody, okay. I'm gonna word this in a way that I didn't even word this by Indy or Martin, but YOLO. If you
Hmm.
have an issue, if your only issue with this romance is that it is a man and that there are two men kissing, absolutely just get fucked. Just get fucking over it. I'm so over it. I'm so over like this is one Rogue was the one where I actually did like kind of look into some reviews because I didn't know if there's things that I missed about Rogue as a person,
Yes, yeah,
Yeah. And the comments, I was just so fucking over it. Just
yeah.
progress. Just progress. Like it's not that insane, honestly. It's really not that insane. And it's like and it's just so real everywhere right now. Just like the hatred and like the fear and like that's not my moral beliefs. Okay,
Uh-huh.
cool. Then what are your moral beliefs? Because we can get into that probably the other moral beliefs they believe in that is probably making it worse for society. Like just fucking get over it.
This is why we
Okay.
don't look at comments. But yes, you're right. You're 100%
No, like
correct.
it's okay to not like a romance with the doctor. That is okay. But if your only reason is like you're hating on this is because it's two men kissing
Yeah, that's
and
stupid.
you're now saying that we're pushing an agenda down your face, no, we're fucking not. We just exist. Queer people
Mm-hmm.
exist, all right? We fucking exist.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, we're not going anywhere. Okay, that's my rant.
No,
Okay, done.
that's correct. You're correct to say that. Yeah, that's like that is a non-issue,
Yeah.
basically.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
if you are
Mhm.
listening to this and that is your opinion on Rogue and that is your issue with Rogue,
You're not gonna like this
yeah,
and get fucked.
you're in the wrong place, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no,
You
you're
don't have
right.
to like everything we say, but like just yeah. Not the place for you.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
No, fair, absolutely valid. Bit of insight to the quote unquote fandom
Mhm.
that we have to
Mhm.
deal
Mhm.
with.
Yep.
One of the reasons I stepped away from Doctor Who creation content many years ago was because of that kind of behavior. But I'm back, baby.
We're back, and like I think it's really important to talk about though, and like times are changing, and just fucking get over it. Like who cares? It's a kiss. It's a kiss. It's literally just a fucking kiss. It's so dumb. It's so dumb, and like we don't always have the popular opinion. Like there's many times where I get in conversations with Doctor Who, and I feel like I'm the only one that feels the way that I do, and it's always like this like
I think we all
kind
go
of
through
brick
that.
wall. Yeah, and then that's fine. Like that's a beauty. We can all have different opinions. But on this of just being homophobic, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
There we go.
Okay.
That's the truth, everyone.
Sorry.
It might have been hard for some of you to hear, but that is the truth. Right, Rogue.
Okay, yep.
Rogue, the Doctor and Ruby. I actually kind of love this about this episode. The Doctor and Ruby are just out having fun. I kind of love the setup to the episode. Just them like, let's just go somewhere fun. It's just living some wish fulfillment for Ruby. She's like, hey, I like Bridgerton. Can we go somewhere that's like Bridgerton? Sure we can. I can give you some psychic hearing so you can join in on the dances and have fun and do all of that. But in the mix of the two of them just having fun, they find out they're in the center of a bounty hunt being conducted by one titular rogue and a bunch of birds, a bunch of cosplaying birds who just want that drama. That drama, baby, that sweet, sweet Bridgerton drama. Literally, it's a plot from Futurama where they got signals from Bridgerton and now they want to come live Bridgerton. And that's basically the story. Tash.
Yes.
Rogue. Broad stroke.
Yes.
What did you feel about Rogue after you watched it?
It's funny because I already I know where our differences are going to be in here. I loved Rogue as a character. I think Jonathan did a really good job, but I wouldn't mind seeing Rogue again in the future. Romance aside.
Yeah.
I just think it was like I said, I love seeing when the Doctor's challenged and kind of like, you're not the only smart person in the room, like I think it's really important for all of us to be humbled from time to time. So I did like that dynamic and like the idea of like just like, hey, we're about to dive into some heavy shit pretty soon. Let's just have like something that seems seamlessly fun because it always happens this way. It's never just a vacation with the Doctor, ever, ever, right? Like it never goes well when they're like, let's just go on a funny vacation. You end up in a Paris with vampires, or I don't know. I can't even remember where that resort thing happened, but plastic human eating monsters. It never goes well. So it's like you can kind of see like, of course you can expect it's a Doctor Who episode that something's gonna go wrong. It was all right for me.
Yeah.
It was getting a little bit better. I think just some of the things just didn't feel like stuff that the Doctor would do typically. Like it felt like the Doctor was just like very forgetful.
Yeah.
Which it's tough to see.
Blinded by lust, I think is what you it's what was happening.
Yeah. I think I liked it better than Dot and Bubble. But I still like had like questions, and like I think my biggest thing that is just like we're seeing like just like these moments of like the Doctor deeply being worried about hurting Ruby in some capacity, right? And we see like a little snippet with Carla, and I just feel like I need to know like the amount of time that's passed. I need to know when this conversation with Carla happened. You know what I mean? Like there's things like that. That's what makes you even more connected to the character, the character's family, and this and that. And I'm like, all of this has happened, and we didn't get to see it.
Yep.
And I think it would help add like a little bit more emotional depth to what was currently happening.
No, you're right. Yeah. That's I think that's more of this season issue rather than
than
the
the episode specifically.
But you're right. You are right. So everything about this episode was pretty much lined up for me to hate it. Have no interest in Bridgerton whatsoever.
Me either.
If you enjoy it, hey, that's your thing. I love that for you. But
I did love how they picked a steamy show. Like the steamiest
of steamy shows.
For the children safe thing.
Yeah.
Or family friendly. But yeah.
Effectively the episode is the Doctor has a romantic encounter episode. That's really what the episode is about. Everything else is just dressing, really. So yeah, those two things are just like, well, this isn't for me. these two things are like, this is not for me. However,
Yep.
I will say I felt that this episode was fun fluff in the way that Space Babies should have been. In that even though it's not for me, it's not an episode I'll probably ever go back to. At least while watching it for the first time, I was like, at least it's fun. At least it's like legitimately fun, and like there's some really funny lines throughout the episode. Funny that the two episodes not written by Russell had some of the best dialogue, but sorry, I feel like I'm being overly harsh.
No, please. Like I'm over it. I'm over. I'm trying not to be. And there's people fucking love Russell, and like good for you, you know. But sometimes I'm just like, why? The banter. We need the banter.
The banter. There was much good banter. There was much good banter in here. I loved like the Stilton line. It's very difficult cheese. That was some good shit right there. That was
Ruby was great. And I will say, I guess one of my questions for you, if Rogue had not been romantic, would you have liked it more?
I don't think so.
Like if Rogue was just like okay.
Because my main one of the, other than the romantic stuff we'll talk about in a moment, but I just felt the villains were pretty weak, and I wasn't really interested in what they were doing or whatever. So that was kind of the like, they're just, it's that kind of Doctor Who villain which people who don't watch the show laugh at kind of villain, and it's like, I promise you the show is good. I promise you, it's not.
It's like me.
Yeah. I mean, I thought that like the designs of them, like the actual physical work to make those masks was really fucking good. It's just, I don't know, they were just kind of, like I say, fluff, non-threats, really. Like, yeah, they were killing people, but it's like, I feel like the Doctor could deal with this blindfolded. Really, under normal circumstances. I mean, he's just kind of distracted by his lust for someone at the moment.
I mean, this is, I think, the first time that we've actually had like different reactions.
Yeah, like proper different ones. Yeah. I don't know. It's like I say, it was just kind of fun, and I liked, like I say, a lot of the dialogue was funny. Like, another one I really liked was mostly Ruby. I just liked Ruby so much throughout this episode. The whole scene when she's just watching them bicker in the fireplace room, when she's just like watching an episode of Bridgerton, was fucking hysterical.
Oh yeah, we're teaching them the like English, the new lingo.
Like, again, another line I loved was like, was cushy. It's comfortable like a cushion. It's so silly. It's so silly. So it's kind of sad that she kind of got sidelined through most of this episode, because, like I say, it's mostly about
the Doctor,
about the Doctor and that encounter. Yeah, I do think it was one of the funnier episodes throughout this.
I think it's
season.
one that you could just tune into.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people
like not knowing a lot of it.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people kind of call this maybe like a comfort episode. It's like a cozy, comfortable episode. Snuggle up in your blankie and just watch this fun romp around in a Regency with some bird people. Which is fair. Which is absolutely fair. I will say, I do really like Rogue as a character. I thought it was really smart and interesting to do a Han Solo type, but have him be more introverted. I thought that was just a really clever way of doing that kind of character, because obviously the temptation is to make them big and bold and do the Jack Harkness of it all kind of thing. So I did genuinely really like that he was this kind of quiet soul, and he's just sort of getting on with life, and obviously has had some sort of trauma that he's living with, and like the initial just like attraction between the two, I understood like why that would happen, because we've seen it before with the Doctor. The Doctor is attracted to people who are dangerous and maybe slightly more amoral to what to like how he likes to hold himself up. Ending point on it is that I did really like Rogue, and I felt it was like an interesting kind of flip of the head of that, what that sort of character is normally like in a science fiction thing. Obviously there's a nice little D&D reference there in the name and the dice, and
which I was all about.
It
was all about. I thought those were really cute and quirky, like the little roll for initiative or roll for insight. Those are cute.
Yeah. So I did like Rogue, and yeah, I wouldn't be mad if we saw Rogue again. I would welcome to see him again. I don't have too much to say about this episode, all in all. It's just that the Doctor being blinded by clearly just his lust feels so not Doctor-like whatsoever. It's like, I can get it. Like, fine, if you're going to do the Doctor, like, being attracted to people, and fine. Yeah. But I think there is a way to do that can still feel Doctorly, and him just kind of tripping over himself out of, like, he's basically dribbling over this guy. And I'm like, keep it together, my man. Just a little bit.
Yeah. Like, yeah, Davies is really doubling down on this, you know.
I don't know what the name of I mean, it's interesting to try and figure out how much influence Russell might have had on this episode, because it feels very like some of it feels very Russell coded in a lot of ways. But this episode, I can't remember their names, but it's written by like one of the showrunners of Loki and their writing partner.
Yeah. I can see that for sure.
It's two female writers, and I completely forgotten their names. I just watched an interview with them. I can't even
remember the name of the freaking characters.
But it did seem from the interviews with them that Russell was involved with building the script up. Like, they were constantly meeting and talking about it. It's hard for
romance for you to like try to be like not about, you know.
I think it just plays into that. How it's depicted in this again is that thing of it feeling too human.
Yeah, 100% for you.
And like I say, like whenever you have the Doctor in a romantic thing, it's not gonna. It's a tough sell. Well. It's a tough sell for me. And I know some people are all about it. They love that shit. They love seeing their tragic hero being in love and then getting ripped away from them. And people love that shit. I get it. I understand. It's just not what I come to Doctor Who for. But I'm not going to blame anyone else for enjoying that. It's you know what, you tell me because I feel like you've probably got more to say about the whole thing than what I do overall.
I'll start with the positive before I get into the frustrations. And the frustrations isn't even at like this specific episode. Like it felt like Rogue was a really good combination of kind of like the confidence of Jack, but the mystery of River. And I think I loved River's song as a character. Truly, and it wasn't as to that extent of a romance in your face, right? Like it was, there was much more going on there than just like a quirky fun, like, ha ha ha, I'm your wife, but you have no idea what's happening yet, type of thing. Like, that's a totally different story. But it was kind of like the individual that could challenge the Doctor really intelligently, you know, like in a concept that the Doctor can understand that's beyond just like, oh, you're just like any other human, or you're just like any other companion. Like, no, you know, like there's much more going on with Rogue.
Yeah.
And I think Rogue was really well played. Would love to see Rogue come back. Like I love in the Doctor's challenge in that capacity. And you know, like times are changing, and I think especially when you have a queer actor playing the Doctor, and like there's a lot of really intense times happening in society right now, like representation matters a lot. It matters so much, you know, especially when you're trying to get a new generation in. Like it helps those people that are watching not feel so alone. So it's really important. And I like whoever has issues with it just being a man, like I said, just fucking get out of here. I think like there's just so much wishy-washy between showrunners with the Doctor being romanced or not. Like one of the biggest things with Jodie's season is there was like this hinted chemistry between Yaz and Jodie, right? And people were like depending on who you were, how you felt about Jodie, like there's some people that really wanted to see that. Like they really wanted to see that. And then like right at the end, it's just like, no, I can't do that.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it's like frustrating. for me, it's just frustrating going from that to, like, now this, you know what I mean? I'm like, we could have had a really good moment, and that's not Davey's fault at all, like, this is
No.
just my general, like, emotional reaction, like, we could have had that moment, and it's just a bummer, like, the inconsistency, I don't know, it was just heartbreaking. And that, like I said, it's not Davey's fault, it's not anyone in this episode's fault at all, like, it's just I'm glad that we got it, um, like, representation matters, all of that good stuff. I think
Mm-hmm.
Rogue is, like, if they do go forward with this romance option, like, we typically know it doesn't end well,
Mm-hmm.
like, there's so much more of the Doctor's story that's always going to be told, and, like
Mm-hmm.
and I think there is a little bit of element of, like, fun, like, lighthearted, no strings attached fun type of stuff throughout this season,
Yeah.
which is new-ish, not fully new, but so I feel like I kinda played into that of, like, even if they find Rogue later on, like, who knows if it's even gonna be serious or more of just, like, a little fun, like, pop in, keep you
Yeah.
on your toes, remind you, like, that you have all these emotions going on. I was just like, "We could have had this for Jodie as well," and I, like, um
Still
but
burns her.
that like I said, that's it does still
Yep.
burn, it does. I will never get off this horse. Someone in a chat recently just started fighting with me because I said I like Jodie, and I was like, "Listen,
Mm-hmm.
like, no one is going to change people's opinions on how they feel about the Doctor. You can try your best, but everyone's gonna have their own emotions, opinions to it,
Mm-hmm.
and I still like, I will die on that horse. I will die on that horse, and I know I don't have the popular opinion, and that's fine, like,
But you have your opinion.
but
Which,
yeah, I yeah, it was just kind of like mourning what could have been for another Doctor, shall I say. Um, but that's no like I said, no one's writing like, Davies didn't have control of that back then or anything like that. That was just, like, my emotion of, like, "We could have had this twice," you know? Um, I don't really care for Bridgerton, though.
no.
It's just not my type of thing. I just, like, didn't really understand, like, the enemy's motive, obviously, besides, like, a cosplay and then kind of being like, "We're gonna take over the world," this and that. Like, it just felt really, like,
There seemed to be a confusion between
why
cosplay and
yeah,
roleplay. Like,
like, yeah, it was interesting. I think Ruby, like I think we get to see a little bit more of quirkiness with Ruby of like, "Oh, I just told the earrings to do the fight mode." You know what I mean? Like, that was really nice. It was the, like, forgetfulness of the Doctor that just didn't feel Doctor-ish to me, especially, like, maybe it wouldn't have hit me that bad, but, like, when you see that scene where he's talking with Carla,
mm-hmm.
who seemingly Ruby's family just knows what's happening, magic like, I
All
need to
happen off
know
screen. Yeah.
yeah, there's, like, I feel like new fans probably need to know that as well, like, that this what is happening here, like, that moment of, like, him being like, "Damn," like, like, that just rage of, like, "I want them to burn," like, or, like, "I want them to die slowly," or, "That's a long time to die," or, like, that rage isn't like, it's valid. I just feel like if that's how heavily you felt about it,
Yeah. It
you wouldn't
just
have just forgotten. Like, it was just the forgetfulness, even with less added in there. It was kind of just like the forgetfulness of like,
yeah, it does feel a bit odd that
yeah,
he's very aware of what the situation currently is, and yet he doesn't seem to be rushing to try and make sure Ruby's safe, because the last time he saw Ruby, she's just having fun in the ballroom, but
mhm,
he's
mhm.
now like, oh, there's a bunch of psychopathic killer shape changing aliens on the loose. Maybe I should go check on my mate. Maybe I
Yeah, like
should
maybe
go do that.
grab Ruby real quick, like
Maybe I should do that.
it just didn't feel like if we didn't see that scene with Carla and how important Ruby is,
Mm.
maybe it would have like gone a little bit smoother ish. It felt strange, like, I don't know, it felt like a weird forgetfulness, and it felt like the Doctor kinda gave up a little bit too easily in the terms of Ruby, um,
So you obviously
and,
mean
like,
so
Rogue.
when she's seemingly been taken over,
Yeah.
the Doctor just instantly going, "Oh well, I guess I lost."
Yeah,
So
yeah, like, I guess this has happened, like, there's
yeah,
no question or, like, being like, "No, there has to be another way," like, I feel like the
hmm
Doctor's always like, "No, there has to be another way," and the Doctor's like, "Oh,
she's
she's
gone.
dead."
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like, it just didn't feel it just didn't feel yeah, I don't know, I don't even know the words I'm looking for there,
He should have been more questioning of what had happened while he hadn't been there.
yeah, especially to, like, have that rage. It just felt like something was missing there.
No, I understand what you're saying
That kind of
with
made,
that.
yeah.
Like you were saying, like the doctor's duty of care over Ruby, if we want to phrase it that way.
Yeah.
Especially in terms of like seeing that little scene of with Carlo, like him making the promise of I will look after her, I promise.
Yeah,
it
yeah.
it doesn't like there is this is a season wide thing where, and I guess it's also part of the fact that they've got 8 episodes rather than 12 or 13, so making choices on what to leave off screen, what to put on screen, it does damage the relationship in terms of like you say, how long have they been together? Does Ruby's parent, like, do they know like how what they're going through, and or what is the doctor's relationship with Carla and all of that kind of stuff? But yeah, you're right. I mean, I will say that I did like the moment where he says 600 years is a long time to suffer. That felt a bit like the just the bless
Sorry.
you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I mean,
It's the bogey monster.
I did like that moment of like him
Yeah, like
saying,
just a rage.
yeah, that rage coming out. It does, like we were saying a little bit earlier about this supposedly being the healed Doctor.
Yeah.
After these 3 episodes, especially Rogue and Legend of Ruby Sunday, I feel like this Doctor masks more than any any previous one.
I really do feel like poor Ncuti's like acting for his life.
Yes. Yeah.
And the writing is just,
it's like he can't make his mind up. They can't make their mind up on terms of are you still suffering from your past traumas? Are you kind of allowing yourself to be over it, or are you like they can't make their mind up? It's almost like they realized, or Russell realized, oh yeah, what kind of makes the Doctor interesting is the mystery and having to live with the weight of being alive as long as he is, and suddenly going, oh yeah, I guess I can't just have him be okay now, because that isn't dramatically interesting. so he's kind of put himself into this weird place where he's trying to have his cake and eat it a little bit. I'm not entirely sure where he's going to land by the end of it.
And I can totally see like the things that have been implemented to try bring in a younger generation. I can see that, and it seems like it's kind of working. And like, you know, I'm pretty progressive for the most part. We want progressive people to like exist in the world. So you can see there's kind of like things that are being added to be relatable to a younger generation in there. And but like, I mean, like Ncuti's younger than us. Like they're just young. Like, you know, they are young.
I think Ncuti's our age. I think Ncuti's exactly our age.
Really? I thought maybe a couple years younger.
No, he's our age, or maybe 1 year older. Do the Googles. I think he's 90, 91, maybe.
No, he is our age. Yeah, 92.
There we go.
Yeah, I think it's because when he started.
Yeah, when they started
when
filming
he got announced,
this.
I was in Ireland. Yeah, and that's like a couple years ago. I just remember like being the younger Doctor. I can't believe that much time has passed. It's fine. Everything's fine.
They started filming this in 2022 or whatever it was.
It's all fine. Yeah. I mean, oh, sorry, before I sidetracked. But I mean, that's still pretty young though, right? Like, it's still like, as much as we want to have the world figured out, we're still really fucking dumb. At least I am. I could see trying to relate to like, I feel like everyone's just having a crisis right now, right? Life is just in a wild place.
Yeah.
Everything's so expensive. Like, what are we doing with our lives? Like, you know, it's a whole generation being like, I don't know if I wanted what the previous generation had, and I don't know what to do with that. So you can see like kind of like these uncertainty weaved into the Doctor. I think like then I just don't know why making the statement that this is a more healed Doctor, like, because that came after, right? Like they filmed that after.
No, they would have filmed
or was that
the
first?
specials first. Yeah, they did all that first.
Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember. Yeah. Just interesting. Oh, it's interesting to see where it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I keep harping on about this. Apologies, everyone. I'm sure you're all bored of it. It's the costume thing, man. It's the costume. That's just because his personality is going in all kinds of different directions. Sometimes it doesn't feel like there's anything consistent, I think is the right word, with his Doctor. It just, from week to week, there's always something slightly different happening. be it his interaction with the situation, be it his costume, be it whatever it is, and all of that stuff is adding up to me, at least, where I'm like, I'm struggling to see the Doctor, or specifically your Doctor, because it's so, like, a great performance. He's doing great performances, but like it's so all over the place and not strictly his doing. It's just, and I don't know. I don't know if that's building towards something. I don't know if there is a journey that this incarnation of the Doctor is going on that Russell is aiming towards. But as of right here, right now, it is, for me, like I say, making it more difficult to see the character that I know. Not saying that won't happen at some point, like I say, as this continues, and I've said this before, the fact that he cries every single week, multiple times in certain instances, when there's a moment where he's meant to be emotional and it's supposed to land, I'm like, oh, he's crying again. It's like becoming a meme at this point. It's like, it's starting to not it's starting not to mean anything, because it's just always happening.
It's funny because, like, I don't notice that, you know, like, for me, I'm like, this is like, it doesn't seem like he's always crying. Like, it's not something where I'm like, this is an emotional person. Like, there's many times on this show where we don't always have the same opinion, and we're like, we encourage each other to know, like, it's okay not to have an opinion. It's okay not to, like, you know, like, we're not here to protect each other's feelings. Otherwise, this would make it a fake experience. And yeah, so like I haven't noticed that really. Like, obviously he has, and I think I I know, like, I champion Ncuti a lot, and I know you're trying your best. But I think it's just because I've seen, like, and I know it shouldn't maybe look at it this capacity, but I've seen much more emotional roles that he's had to do, or and scenes that he's had to play out where I'm like, this is so toned down compared to like that, like, kind of place. So I haven't even noticed it, which is just funny.
From what I
Like the different
understand,
things that people can pick up on.
from what I understand,
Yeah.
it's from his other work, is that it's very much like, this is the direction that Russell wanted to take the character. It makes perfect sense why they would cast Ncuti to do it.
Yeah.
From what I understand, and like I say, it maybe there's a bigger journey that this version of the Doctor is going on, which is why it's being played and written this way. I just don't know. But at the moment, it is, like I say, making it hard for me to, like I say, see that the character that I know. And maybe that's part of it. Maybe there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
And it's not me
There's
saying,
just so many missing pieces.
yeah, it's not me
like, there's just so
saying
much missing.
the Doctor isn't emotional. That's not what I'm saying at all. Like, the point of the Doctor is that he is emotional, but he kind of expresses it in very weird and ways of either misdirecting, and we get that here as well. We get this at the end. Get that at the end of this episode very specifically, and kind of sometimes what he doesn't say versus what he does say, and you know, all that kind of stuff. So it's not my problem that he's emotional. It's just how it's being done. And like I say, I feel like because he is so teary-eyed a lot of the time, it starts to dilute the moments when you really want it to hit. Like I've said that on previous episodes as well. But for example, Rogue, like the Doctor having to make the choice of sacrificing his friend in order to save everyone, and then Rogue's self-sacrifice, like the Doctor's emotional response to that would have landed much more deeply to me had he not been this kind of emotional state 70% of the time. Throughout the season. Yeah, that's just my thing about it. But it's interesting that you don't notice it as much, for sure.
I think, like, we're being thrown a lot this season in every capacity. I think me going into this, like, I'm so just trying to find the ways to, like, continue to root for Ncuti and protect it, because I've seen, like, the damage that can be done, right? Like, with Jodie, like, I don't know how long it's gonna be till we get another female Doctor, just because bad writing. And so, like, I think I'm always just focusing on, like, how can I champion and defend?
Yes.
Because I think it's important to have representation both for a person of color and for queer individuals. Like, that can make a huge difference, just seeing it out there for something that is so big and has such an extensive span. Like, not noticing other things because I'm focused on, like, trying to champion, you know?
Mm.
And I think that's just PTSD from Jodie season, honestly. Like, it really is. Like, when you're throwing things like these that are new to like the Who fan base, it's so risky because like the backlash can be so intense it can ruin
Mm.
chances in the future for representation.
Yeah.
And like I think that's just how I've had to go into this a little bit, you know? And I think that's yeah. It's a strange place to be to like just be ready to defend change,
Mm-hmm.
even if there's like missing loops towards the
Yeah.
change.
No,
I know
I
I'm
get it.
yeah.
It's like I say, I'm willing. Like, it's not like it's bothering me so much that I'm like, well, I'm gonna stop watching because this isn't the Doctor that I know. It's more a
Yeah.
case of I'm like, okay, is this going somewhere? Is there an end point? Is there, or is this just how it
Mhm.
is, kind of thing? And I already like
Yeah,
back
yeah.
when we did our Ruby Road review, I was like, um, I even said there, or is it might have during the Giggle review that I said I
Mhm.
kind of feel like I know where Russell's going to take this, and it's going to be the
Mhm.
same issues I had with the 10th Doctor again.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but it's like the 10th Doctor dialed up to 10, haha. It's like
But it's
he's like not holding
yeah.
back from all the stuff
Mm-mm.
that he was previously holding back.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough when you don't want to stop progression. And it's tough when it's like there's progression there. And I think what we're missing, or some others are missing, is like the emotional tie to why that progression matters in both terms for the Doctor and the fan base.
Hmm.
And it's rushed and
Yeah.
seems like a little just flirty overall, right? Like I think that is the thing, is like this Doctor is extremely flirty,
Hmm.
and not every Doctor is. Just despite the gender
Hmm.
or where that flirtiness is going to, I feel like this is the most flirty we've seen a Doctor
Yeah. No. Yeah.
in
It's
in multiple episodes type of thing, and
yeah. I'm
it's a
just
weird thing to see.
no. Yeah. It's just I can only be honest about my feelings about it. I'm not a fan of horny Doctor. I'm
Yeah.
just it's just not my thing.
Mhm.
Um, but if you're gonna do it, I feel like there is a doctorish way to do it.
Yeah.
Which is which this episode didn't really do for me. It just felt
Mhm.
like a kind of flummoxed human just being like, yeah, you're hot, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right, but
Mhm.
like it doesn't feel very in character for me. Um,
I I think if they were gonna do it, Rogue was the best option
no, yeah, absolutely.
because Rogue makes it sensible and like is kind of teasing like we still have a job to do here while
Hmm.
like kind of like pushing the Doctor. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
Rogue is like, all right, like
Yeah,
we can flirt, but we're gonna flirt and walk at the same
yeah.
time.
No, like I
We're gonna
feel
multitask, and I appreciate Rogue
yeah, like I say,
keeping some of the balance in.
I completely get where the attraction lies between those two
Yeah.
characters. I completely get it. I do think it's worth mentioning. Some people are like have said like, "Hey, it's all about that lust, baby." It's like, hey, you meet someone, the spark clicks. It does feel a
Mhm.
little weird that this episode kind of takes place over the course of 2 hours, and the two of
Mhm.
them are like, it's like they never want to be with anyone else ever again. They've known
Yeah.
each other for two
Instant love.
hours.
Instant love.
um,
True love, you know?
no, it's a thing they're going to keep doing because I
It's a
guess
lot.
that's
Yeah.
modern television, and
Yeah.
I just think there's a way to do it if you're going to do it. I don't know if it wholly
Mhm.
worked here for me at least. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. It seemed like a grab for a younger audience, I'm
mm,
gonna be honest. Like, it seems like something that was sprinkled in for, like, what's gonna keep the new generation interested.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have got to have that romance, baby. There's got to be you've got to have your lead characters in romances that don't work out, so then you can be like, oh, I hope they come back so they get their romance on, because that's
Mhm.
modern audiences, I guess. All right, I'm just going to quickly run through the notes that I
Yeah.
have got.
Yep.
I feel like we've been very sidetracked on this episode, but
I think there was a lot to
standard.
unpack.
Yeah, there is. To be fair,
Yeah,
there
there's a
is.
lot to unpack with this episode.
Oh, one of the positives
Mm.
I did right here that
Mhm.
I didn't mention yet. Because like I say, I think this was one of the funniest episodes this season. The band
Mhm.
playing bad guy in the in the
Oh my God, but this
different.
happens in Bridgerton. I'm not even kidding. Like in Bridgerton, like when my mom was here, my mom watches Bridgerton, which is so ironic for someone who's so conservative. I just don't get it. Like when it's a man and a female, then it's fine to watch people get finger banged in a carriage. But when it's a girl kissing a girl, it's too much. It's too much for my mom. I'm not holding back, everybody. I'm not holding back. But they do this. They play modern songs in Bridgerton, and I'm like, this song didn't exist. It's not. They're playing like a Taylor Swift at a ball, and I'm like, I don't. Why?
I did. I did
it's
figure.
Such an interest. Yeah.
I did figure
it's funny that they did it.
I did figure it was probably a Bridgerton reference in of itself.
Yeah.
But I did find it funny. I was honestly surprised that I knew the song, because that's a whole sorry everyone in joke that I don't know any modern music whatsoever. But I thought it was funny. I think they did Poker Face as well when the battle mode was done as well. Which was, I think both songs were good choices, because you've got this song playing in the background when you're being introduced to Rogue. Bad Guy seems like an appropriate song. This sort of stoic, moody bounty hunter who, are they good? Are they bad? We don't really know. And then Poker Face being the whole thing about aliens transforming, and Ruby metally cosplaying as a bird, cosplaying as her. So, yeah, I thought it was funny. Like, I do think this episode was generally quite funny, and I will even stretch to saying sweet in some places. There was some sweet moments. I did like the ending of the Doctor. Like I've said, like, the only reason I bring this up as a criticism is because I thought the whole point of this Doctor was that he was meant to be healed and in a better state of mind, and yet very obviously masking his pain about Rogue's sacrifice, and also the everything else that comes behind that when it's happened previously, and still having to move forward. It was a good scene. It felt very doctory, and it felt a great moment for Ruby and the Doctor in terms of a bonding moment where where Ruby really sees the Doctor in a way that she hasn't really seen before. Like, she starts to understand why he behaves the way he does, maybe more so than she had done previously. Like,
like when they're sitting together at the end there, and Ruby's like, "Are you gonna go find him?" Or like, and the Doctor's like, "We got to just keep moving."
Yeah,
like that. It was that line where I was like, "But I this is a time that we're supposed to process and not just bounce to the next thing." Albeit that is very characteristic of the Doctor. Like, that is a very characteristic thing, and I think it would be fine had we not have being teased that this Doctor's different.
Yeah, would
and
deal
more
with
healed.
that.
Like, yeah. It just seems like they kind of
going back to old habits.
It seems like, just why mention it in like such a big way if that's not really what you're going to implement,
Yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
and that line, like, it just felt like that this Doctor would have been the Doctor to kind of maybe just like take a second to explain to Ruby potentially what happens to love interests in the past, or like, like, just like more than just a line of like, I just have to keep moving, because that's how, like I said, not uncharacteristic for the Doctor, very much a Doctor thing to do.
Yes.
Then it was just the fact that they teased us that this was going to be different and more healed, and that was the whole purpose of having two Doctors out in the world, which I've still not like just.
Oh, we'll get there.
It's just but yeah, that's just my opinion. Like, I don't mind romance. I think Rogue was a great character. I think it was just kind of just like the Doctor's kind of forgetfulness that felt strange to me, and just like it seemed like gave up way too easily when there's supposed to be this emotional tie to Ruby.
Well, my cons for the episode that kind of stood out to me. My first one, the Doctor being horny to the point of forgetting the dangerousness of the situation. The birds, bit naff. I mean, they looked great, but good work on the prosthetics and stuff. But as villains, I was just kind of like, okay, the birds, that cosplay, want to cause some chaos. Works for a fluffy comedic episode, I guess, but I'm not gonna be like, I need the action figure of one of those bad boys. That's not that's not gonna happen. Ruby getting sidelined was, I think it was necessary, because you want, after 2 Doctor Light episodes, you want to have a more Doctor focused episode, so fair enough. But I just think Millie is so good, it's always a shame when she's not involved. She's been so good throughout this whole thing.
Yeah.
The hologram scene with all the other Doctors' faces included Richard E. Grant just popping up to get everyone talking, I guess. just throw that one in there.
Yeah.
Just to be like, hey, Doctor Who fans. You didn't expect that one, did you? But it's fun, obviously, seeing all the and it was a good way, like, in terms of this being quotation season 1, to sort of be like, oh, look, there are all these previous versions that have existed, and the Doctor is long lived, so it worked double for that. There. But in context of the scene of Rogue looking for a shapeshifter, all the Doctor did was prove his point. So
he was a shapeshifter,
So I was just kind of a bit confused by Rogue being like, wow, like, no,
hey, you're normal,
you're looking for a shapeshifter. Like, this didn't prove anything. So that was a bit weird to me.
I did like that my spaceship is bigger than your spaceship, kind of.
Yes, and it looked like a bird, interestingly enough. Interesting that his spaceship looked like a bird. Oh, I mentioned this already. The mix-up between cosplay and roleplay was kind of a weird oversight. Russell, you know the difference. Don't lie to us. And I'm sure the writers of a Loki TV show would know the difference as well. I don't know. Maybe cosplay is just a more fun word to say, so that's why they went with cosplay and embracing the nerd of it all. People enjoy cosplaying, so I understand why they do it. It just felt a bit weird that.
But I mean, like, D&D is a role-playing game.
Yes, exactly.
It's literally a tabletop role-playing game, and you're making all of these D&D references, right? Like, just call a spade a spade.
Yeah, exactly. No, that went through my head as well. I have a note. I'm wondering if you can fill this in for me.
Oh, God.
So the Cholders, the assassin birds in question, cosplaying birds, they're family. There's a line of dialogue that says that this is a family of killer cosplaying birds. Bit weird that there's a scene when 2 of them are cosplaying and hitting on each other. So there's a big twist in that a character who you think is human turns out to be one of the Cholders the entire time. And there's a scene with the one we were talking about earlier where Ruby is watching them have their private little spat of, will they get together, will they not? Turns out both of them were Cholders at the time, so...
Are we sure?
I mean, I guess you could say we don't know when she was actually taken over and or not, because we don't see a dead body for her. That's why I don't know. That's why I feel like she was always a bird person the entire time, because we don't see a body at any point of the original or anything. We know he is a bird person at that point, because we saw that happen. So I couldn't help but not notice that. Wait, are they hitting on each other? Is this by design? What's happening here?
I don't want to go there.
I feel like
I don't want to go there.
at that point, it's not been made clear that she is one, and I guess the whole scene just sells that she is a human still. Because why would that be happening otherwise? So it's kind of but it's weird when you rewatch it and go, huh. That's
I don't want
weird.
to touch it.
Yeah, maybe not.
I don't want to touch it.
Maybe not.
Nope. Let's not bring incest into the mix.
That's all my kind of negatives. And like I say, we also got a mention of new boss. Rogue mentions a new boss. So could that be not titular because it's not in a title anywhere. Meep's boss. Meep's boss. The boss.
Meep.
I'm guessing who will be probably our villain for season 2. If they are a villain. They might not be a villain for all we know.
Foreshadowing.
But yes, please some more foreshadowing for other things.
Yeah, the boss is gonna put a hit against the Doctor. The Doctor's gonna go back to jail again.
In conclusion, Rogue. The romantic stuff didn't necessarily work for me. Just because I don't think Doctor Who's ever really got specifically the Doctor's romance right. And it just, as I've said it before, it just falls into that, well, I know where this is going because I know that the show has to keep going. I know the character has to keep going. So we know that this is not going to last. And it kind of deflates the whole thing for me and it feels fruitless. Like, why are we doing this other? And it also kind of irks me that it's the writers always say, Let's take the Doctor into a place the Doctor's never been before. He falls in love, except we've done this 6 times now. He's never done it before. He's never ever fallen in love before.
But life is fleeting, you know? Life is fleeting. You gotta hang on to joy when you can.
I mean, I guess so. That's true.
Because the Doctor has an infamously short life.
So yeah, it was it. Like I say, it was one of the funnier episodes, and in terms of being a fluffy, like kind of fades into the background kind of episode, it was certainly leagues better than Space Babies. Like this is the tone and style that Space Babies should have had.
Yeah.
And like I say, at least the villains were villains, as kind of crappy as they were. At least they were villains and not these ambiguous, like, snot monster that might be bad, might be good. We don't really know. We're going to set it on fire. Maybe we won't set it on fire. Maybe it's about fucking nonsense. Looking at my ratings of other episodes, I'm going to give this... I'm trying to figure out if I liked this as much as 73 Yards or not. But for very different reasons. But for very different
tone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like... Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure, do I give it the same rating as 73 Yards, or do I go a bit higher?
You can answer that question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like, even though not everything in this episode worked for me, as a fun runabout episode with some silly lines and some funny lines, it didn't leave me in a state of asking annoying questions in the same way 73 Yards did.
Yeah.
So if I gave it a 6, that means it's on par with Devil's Cord. But I feel...
Oh God, the Devil's Cord was so close to being like stellar.
But I feel like
it breaks my heart.
I'm gonna go 5.5 because I feel like I feel like I do prefer Devil's Cord to this, all in all.
Yeah.
Despite just forgetting the ending. So yeah, 5.5.
So long ago.
Bird beaks for me.
Bird beaks? I don't know. Like, I think I'm gonna go with this with a different approach of like, I'm gonna give it a 6. I think it felt more Who-like. I think if someone was just like, oh, I'm gonna check out Doctor Who and wasn't like didn't have the history of things that we know or have, I think they could enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those episodes where you don't need to understand the bigger situation going on. You can just tune in, you can watch, you can see them having fun. Like if you haven't had jaded experience with the love interest before, you could be like, oh, this is cute. So I think I give it like a 6. It felt more Who-ish to me than
I agree.
been feeling with the other episodes.
Yeah. It felt like, that's what I mean by like, it feels like a much more traditional kind, like on, if you're looking at the more goofy side of the show, it feels a lot more what I would have in mind and what would fit in with that. The good version of that. Not an episode I will probably ever run back to watch, but it was entertaining enough. It was entertaining enough while I did watch it. That leads us on to probably the episode that everyone has probably been waiting for us to actually talk about. The Legend of Ruby Sunday. A terrible title for the episode, by the way. I'm just going to throw that out right now. That title was stupid.
Didn't really fit what happened, did it?
No, not really. But the setup. The Doctor and Ruby come back to Earth, present day. The Doctor decides, listen, this Susan character is popping up all over the place, and we're
acknowledging it.
I'm gonna get the help of my buddies at Unit to try and track this down to its source and figure out what is going on. Turns out Unit already on the case. They've been looking into Susan Triad already, who is gifting the world free software? Question mark. That we don't actually know what that software is, but it's she's gifting it to the world, whatever that might mean. But also, while we're at it, let's take a look into Ruby's past. Let's see if we can figure out what's going on with Ruby's mother, and if the two things are connected. If this woman who seemingly exists on present-day Earth, who is everywhere else in time, is connected in with Ruby's past, and what that could all mean. And that is effectively the setup for Legend of Ruby Sunday. Tash?
Yeah?
Hit me up. What did you think when you got out of the Legend of Ruby Sunday? What were your thoughts and feelings?
I don't know what to think.
Yeah? it's
I don't know
really
what to think.
it's really hard to work with
It's
half the puzzle. Like,
it's I like I'll start with yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Like I don't hate it. Like my I don't know isn't like a face figure. It's like what the fuck were we
mm-hmm,
even doing here? Like
mm-hmm,
we're finally kind of diving into the mystery of Ruby.
yep,
Like we're getting to the end of the season, like we're expecting like a big punch that it all comes together.
mm-hmm,
Unit, love Unit,
yes,
love Unit. Love seeing the new addition to Unit as well.
mm-hmm.
I don't know what the character's name is in the show.
I think it's
But
Morris.
when he's like Morris, yeah, when like 96 probability of a trap. Like seriously, Jesus fucking Christ, it's a trap. I just like it's a trap.
It's obviously a trap. Everyone knows it's a trap.
It's a trap. Like yeah. Like it's so hard. It's so
No,
hard.
you're right.
Like
It's difficult to give this like a full-fledged review when you're, like I say, we're working with half of it. Literally half of it.
so much, so much. I will say, like, it felt like a Doctor Who episode. Like, there's a big
Yes.
bad.
Yeah.
It leaves us on a cliffhanger. We're used to this of like,
Mm-hmm.
there's a very serious situation happening here. You know, it's gonna probably end up okay. You just don't know how we're gonna get to that point of
Mm-hmm.
what that resolution looks like. That is a very typical like Doctor Who feeling of like, oh shit, big
Yeah.
bad. What are we gonna do here?
Traditional
You know what I mean?
cliffhanger.
Like,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, which is good. I enjoy that. Like Unit did a really good job. Mel did a fantastic job. Mel is
Mel's
like, get
great.
your fucking shit together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Jesus fucking Christ, my dude. Like
Yep.
I love Mel. Like I really, I think it was just something just felt not like the Doctor to me in the episode where I was like, that's yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know if the Doctor would do that a couple of times, but I think it comes back to the Doctor feeling human and being like, if there is really, even if it's 4% or 3% and goes further down as you go
Mm-hmm.
on, chance of me meeting, like figuring out if this is my granddaughter
Mm-hmm.
and what's happening, I need to take that, which is a very human thing
Mm-hmm.
for the Doctor that has seemingly been against this. Just a lot.
Yeah.
Just a lot going on.
This is a thing. This is oh boy. It's a Russell T Davies finale because there's many plates be spinning, and you're just
Yep.
waiting to see which one of those plates land unbroken and which ones will be broken by the end of this. Because
Yeah.
I mean, I know the next episode's
yeah.
longer. I think it is an hour, if not just shy of an hour long. So hopefully that will help with resolving everything in its correct pace and time. But just focusing on what we have right here in front of us. Like I say, it feels very much like a Doctor Who episode, especially like a unit-based Doctor Who episode. I really like that Russell has taken the time to actually build Unit as a more family feel, like that this is a group of people and they'll hopefully be regulars. They might not always be in every Unit episode, but they can come in and out and like it was in the 70s, like going back to that feeling of this is a nice little family unit that we like hanging out with and having adventures with. Sometimes you might get more of this character, sometimes you might get more of this character, etc. Rather than in modern Who, Unit is mostly just been military force and Kate shows up every so often. And it doesn't really feel like you're getting to see into it in the same way that you used to in the old show. I like that he's making strides to make Unit feel more like, oh, there are a group of characters here who we care about.
Yeah, they're people.
Yeah.
And I mean, for all intents and purposes, like this is a classic Doctor Who episode, like Doctor Who coded.
Yeah,
and I can see it being more enjoyable because you're finding like, okay, like this feels more traditional. Like this is a feeling that I know and I can relate to within the Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So like I'll give it that. Like the things that I had wrong with it are more just like information missing again. I think a little bit.
It's hard to know if we're gonna get that.
This
week.
100%. Yeah.
So that's the only thing. I feel like the same way, like a lot of my things are okay. Whether I like this or not really depends on how this gets resolved in the coming episode. So we just have to wait, I guess. I would say probably of this season, it is the most, like you say, the most Doctor Who coded episode that there has been this whole season. In that there is a big bad mystery thing, and the Doctor and co are working together to figure out what it is, why it is, and is it something we need to stop? Is it not? Because there's this question of, apparently Susan Triad is a very nice person for all intensive purposes, so are they actually an evil genius, or are they not? Yeah, I certainly liked it for, I guess, the tone, feeling very much like this feels like a Doctor Who episode. This is the Doctor and the gang doing the thing. But I will say, as I alluded to earlier, I did feel like this episode kind of a little bit needlessly was running down the clock a little bit. Like the scene in the time window, cool stuff happens in the time window, but that scene goes on for like maybe 20 minutes, 15 minutes, when I don't really feel like it needed to. Like, there felt like there were parts of it that were extended because we need to fill the runtime. So we can get to the cliffhanger at the appropriate moment. And that was kind of throughout the episode. And there's a lot of this episode was people in rooms asking the same questions and not really answering any of them. Not really coming to any conclusion. So, like, to compare this to a classic episode, this feels like a part 1 of a 4-part serial. But a 4-part serial in the classic show, one episode is 25 minutes. And this episode felt like that 25-minute episode stretched out to 45 minutes. And obviously it just, when it starts to get interesting is when it goes, nope, wait till next time. I don't know. I feel like that's a fair criticism. I feel like I normally like slower paced things. I don't have an issue with them, but I don't know. I feel like maybe this was being slow out of obligation rather than because you're trying to really build, if that makes sense. Like, it's you're just doing it because you want to save all the exciting punchy stuff for the finale. I
think, and there's moments you could have, like, the plot isn't my issue with this one. It's just like there's moments that you could have talked about a little bit more, maybe to fill like kind of that tense space. Like, we have Rose
it would have
here, we have Mrs. Flood, like, what we could just
it would have felt like if there was some sort of reveal halfway through the episode, maybe I think the whole thing would have like had a bit more momentum to it. Like, but it felt like I say, we only really got one question answered in this whole thing in terms of who is the villain this season. It's Sutek. We got that answered, but we still have a bunch of other questions that didn't get any. I guess we had the moment about halfway through the episode where it becomes very apparent that Mrs. Flood is someone. we don't know who. We don't know who still, but they're certainly someone. So I guess we had that. But I'm steering towards Time Lord still, where Mrs. Flood is concerned. Or
they would have shown Mrs. Flood kind of turn into like the vessel face.
Yes.
That we saw.
Yeah. I don't
Will Ruby's Nan ever get her cup of tea?
That is the big thing. Like, she's been waiting since Christmas, for fuck's sake. Like, can this lady get her tea? Jesus Christ.
Get her a good cuppa.
Oh god. I mean, it's nice. Like, there's lots of stuff in here I liked. I want to make that clear. Like, there's like, I really liked Ruby and Rose together. I mean, it's a bit. I mean, you can argue it's a bit strange how they've met for the first time and they're instantly besties.
No, there's more arguments there about something else that's changed, but I'll wait.
Okay. We'll wait.
Yeah.
But no, I did like their dynamic. It did remind me of in an episode, a Patrick Troughton episode, where UNIT is first officially established as a thing. The Doctor's companion Zoe is kind of teamed up with a character's name I've completely forgotten, but the dynamic, it felt kind of similar, and it wouldn't surprise me if that was like some sort of reference to that. So it was a nice thing where Zoe could go off and do this thing with this other character whilst the Doctor was doing something else, and this kind of felt the same way, that the two could be separated but still have someone to bounce off of. So I did like that. I really liked This is one of the most Doctor moments that Ncuti's had in the whole show, was him looking around the time window and then just bursting out laughing and just being like, this is rough. You've really strung this together. that I did like that moment a lot. That got a laugh out of me. And this is mainly for Tash's and wanting to know what my dad's reactions to be. That's the that's the first time that I've really noticed him like laugh at one of Ncuti's moments. Like that that moment really hit.
Let's go.
So yeah, I did enjoy that. And I like the effect of the time window, like how they did it, because it's like a volume but not a volume as in Star Wars, like that set. But I believe it was like all projectors, and then they used like some VHS techno stuff to make it look like a VHS tape, and it was cool. It's a cool set.
They're making use of their money. Yes, that's for sure.
Yeah. It had kind of an eerie creepiness to it. You say it's like time travel, but not, as in they're peering through a window, but a window can be broken, so there is danger to what they're doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did like the whole time window idea as a concept, and a slightly different way of doing the time travel thing. This episode being called The Legend of Ruby Sunday, again,
not
terrible title. It should have just been called The Time Window or something, like, something along those lines. Ruby's storyline, at least in this episode, this part of the story, feels like the B plot. It feels like the B plot to, like, look.
Like a means to an end. It felt like more.
Like, this is my classic Who bias coming in. The moment, the moment you put fucking Sutek on the table, I'm sorry, nothing else fucking matters at that point. Like, I don't care about anything else. Like, if you're gonna bring that back, and like, I'm sorry, Ruby, I love you, but I'm much more interested in what's going on over here. Sorry. sorry to tell you.
Yeah, right. Like, something's clearly happening with the TARDIS as well. Like, unfortunately, your story with your mom is not the importance. Right now.
Unless obviously it links in crucially into all of that stuff in some way. We're yet to discover.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, obviously people have been like, well, when did Sutek latch onto the TARDIS? Was it during Wild Blue Yonder? Was that the moment where when he latched on and started interweaving? Who knows? I guess it's just one of those spinning plates that we're gonna have to wait and see if it gets like an actual answer to that or not.
But is it tied to the other TARDIS then too? Because there's two, mind you.
This is
my biggest gripe with this fucking episode.
Okay.
Sorry.
So my running theory is the second TARDIS that lands on Ruby Road is the present day TARDIS in the future. And we theorized about this is that at some point the Doctor is going to have to go back to Ruby Road, and because everything seems to be converging on that moment. So I'm guessing the recording on the VHS is that future landing. That's my guess. That's my best guess at this point.
Yeah, I can get it.
Quite how that factors in, I guess, because it's part of the time window. Window can be broken. Something could break through that into the present day. But like the reveal of the baddie in that moment, and the poor sergeant who gets killed because the Doctor says, "Go have a look," which was very
after like specifically say like that those things. I'm like, you just fucking said.
I mean,
no one move. And anything, no one move. And Kate's like, Doctor, stop saying that. Kate's literally like, why are you, what you just told us? Like, you know what I mean? It makes no sense. At that same moment, the Doctor is also very much holding Ruby still to be like, don't move. I just, that felt so not, you know, like it's just those small forgetful things where I'm like, I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know if there's enough to justify this.
I'm going to counter you and say I felt that moment was very Doctor-y to be like, just go have a look. Just go have a look. I need that. I need the information. That's what it's what that felt like to me. And now that I just said that, I feel like it felt kind of like the scene at the series 8 finale where the Doctor is grappling with, I need to do this, but Danny will die if I do this. But I need the information. It feels kind of like that. Like I need you to do this because I need the information, and obviously he regrets the consequence of that as it played out. Felt pretty doctory of me of him to do that, to be like, I need you to do it, my guy. Like there's always
I can see what you're saying.
There's always that running theme of the Doctor using other people for his ends. So yeah, that moment felt pretty doctorish to me, where he's so caught up in what he needs, he kind of forgets maybe that there could be a consequence to that.
Yeah, I could see that. I think maybe if he wasn't just yelling the whole time, nobody move, and then goes, hey, you move, while also still yelling at nobody to move, maybe like it would have
there's some
more natural.
mixed messaging going on there for sure.
Yeah, but I will say, like when you hear the voice, after the agent dies, you hear the voice where he's like, "Are you still there?" It reminded me a lot of the episode with the weeping angel on the ship, where like the military, the Catholic military, the angel had stolen their voice box for all intents and purposes. Isn't play with me putting in is like talking through the victim's voice. Being like, yeah, he's dead.
You're right.
It kind of just reminded me of that. Felt like a clever callback of like hearing someone from beyond a little bit.
And just creepy.
I don't know if I'm wording that right.
Creepy, scary. I think the episode does a good job of building up the villain, like that sort of, like I say, that creepy, eerie build up, and then just the reveal of the sergeant being there. Like, just that was kind of the moment where I thought, I feel like we are heading to Sutek because he's covered in sand. So maybe that is where we're going. So I guess I'll address something about this. The thing about Sutek is that in the original show, he isn't a god. He is an alien who seems godlike to a lower being because they have natural. They do have like natural ability. The Osirans is the species. They do have like natural abilities that humans don't have. It's not just technology. So they do have like a lot of power, but they are like the whole point of that whole story is that it is an alien who comes to Earth who is then mistaken for being a god because of this power, and also the other part of it is that Sutek, for his species, was just basically kind of a psychopath. And the rest of his species
had
were
a
like,
big ego.
You need to sit the fuck down. I'm gonna super glue you to this chair, and you ain't going nowhere, buddy.
You seem like a disaster.
So now he's being depicted as a literal godlike figure.
We're fully into the pantheon. Situation now, right? Like everything else is gone.
Which I thought would irk me more, that he's like, it's like a departure from what he was originally in some ways. If there's some sort of visual or maybe dialogue cue to sort of explain what had happened in the interim between we last saw him and where we saw him here, to sort of how he's got to this more elevated place, I'll be fine with it. I will also say, after watching this, I did find my dad rewatching Pyramids of Mars, so maybe that says something.
Not the only one, though. I had a friend, too, that went back to rewatch.
Like, clearly, like, even in Pyramids of Mars, he's super glued to a chair, and the Doctor is terrified of him. Because he knows how much power he has. So it's that it doesn't... I feel like in terms of bringing him back and making him feel impactful, especially for an audience that might not have any idea who he is, this is the best possible route of doing it, that you establish just how powerful he is in this way. So, the fact that he has now been elevated to full-on god status rather than alien who is very powerful doesn't annoy me as much as I thought it might do. So I just feel like it feels like the right way to do it if that's how you're going to bring him back. I do hope we see him not just a big CGI dog. I would like to see his more.
I was gonna ask. That is a lot of that. That's hilarious. I literally was like, I feel like people either love it or hate it.
I don't mind the CGI dog look. His eyes should be green. Sorry, nerd moment here. His eyes should be green. Okay, that's the whole thing. Sutek has green eyes.
I love how you're like, oh, race essentially changed, but the eyes,
those
the eyes are where I draw the line.
It's an aesthetic thing. Okay, he has green eyes. That's like what he's famous for. It's like taking a plunger away from a Dalek. Okay, he should be having green eyes. But no, I do hope we get to see the humanoid, sort of the iconic look for that character. I don't know if we will, but it would be nice to at least have some kind of allusion to it in some way. And I really hope that there's just a scene of Sutek and the Doctor just talking, because like that's the best stuff about Pyramids of Mars is the scenes with Tom Baker and Sutek just talking with each other. That's that meeting of minds kind of thing.
Yep.
And plus, because you got Gabriel Wolf back reprising the character, it'd be a shame not to have that. Like, yeah,
for sure.
So yeah, that's if you haven't noticed, that's kind of where I'm at with this episode. Is like it's just a lot of expectation on what the next episode is going to have in terms of whether I think this will work when all is said and done. You go. I've been rattling on a lot.
No, I think for the season finale, we should make a drinking game.
Yeah.
For our discussion.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it would just be funny. I just have questions. Like, and it's so not even about the big bad guy. Like, it's so not even about that. Like, for me, it's the things of like, okay, so Rose and the Doctor hugged as if they've known each other for years. So is David Tennant's Doctor fully healed? Like, is that gone? Right? Like, is this now the complete Doctor?
He does mention uncle. How is your uncle?
Uncle.
Which
he does. I'm so confused. I'm so like it breaks. I don't know. You know, why did they do that? Why? It's not even important to this part of the story, and I'm so caught up on it because I'm like, it seems like Carla kind of has a concept of who the nobles are when Rose is like, my mom works at UNIT, and Carla's like, okay, I'm coming. Like, we don't even know how Carla knows stuff. We're supposed to assume that this conversation happened.
Yeah,
and I just like, it's just, you just no normal person's like, oh, okay, Skinny, let's go to this massive fucking building. Like, I don't, and that's just, and it's not even part of the big thing happening. I'm just so caught up on this stuff where I'm like, what is going on?
It is a strange reaction to have. Like, she said, like, Rose says she works at UNIT, and then mentions that her mum also works there. So for Carla to be like, well, if your mum works there, I'm coming too. Like, what?
As if Carla knows.
What's that logic?
Like, it's like, it seems like Carla then has to know who the nobles are, like, essentially, right?
That's the only way that makes sense.
Yeah, but we don't see that. I just don't. Don't know how much time has passed. What is going on?
Like, here's the thing. I don't think Carla knows the nobles, but you're right. It feels odd. It feels like an odd leap to go. Oh, you happen to work at the same place as your mum does. Clearly, that means I must be invited to this party. Like, it's a weird.
I don't even think we're ever gonna get the answers either. I just don't, and it just kills my soul because like the family can also help make a companion, and like Carla's great. The Nan is also great. Like they both great roles really add to it. I just feel like give us the emotional depth to them. Like, it doesn't have to be that long. Just provide some more context and give them the justice they deserve as well. And I think I'm just also more upset because we know like Ruby's leaving, so I'm just like,
well, we don't know what's happening. We know she's in the next season. She's but we don't know if it's like a full time. She's going to be there the whole thing, or if it's going to be an in and out kind of situation. Yeah, you're right though. It's like, how invested do I need to be in these people?
But like, I'm trained to be fucking invested.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, I have been conditioned to be invested. And I'm sure it's just me. Like, I'm sure there's other people that watch this episode just fine. I didn't have any of those questions. I know it.
No, I
hate that I'm this way.
I hate
that I have these questions.
You're right.
I hate it so much.
I have seen other people more so question, like as much as we enjoy Carla and Candy, they don't feel as fleshed out as they should be. And I think, again, it comes down to the fact that we've got 8 episodes rather than 12. That's really what's hurting that side of it. even though I think having 8 episodes has helped them have more time to film each episode, because I think they now have maybe 3 weeks to a month to film each episode, opposed to 1 week to a week and a half to film an episode. But no, it does hurt that part of it, like how those relationships work with one another and our investment as an audience in those characters and all of that stuff. You're not wrong. You're not wrong about that.
Yeah, I know there's a few other questions I had going through this where I was just like, it's taking away from what's happening.
Yes.
Which is what's happening is really fucking intense and serious and like, yeah.
I need, you're right. I need something. I need a line of dialogue to tell me why the 14th Doctor is not getting involved. Like,
oh, true. Yeah.
Like it's
just such a missing chunk.
It's like we said this right at the beginning of the season. Like, if there's a world-ending threat about to happen, are you expecting me to believe that the 14th Doctor's just saying, "Oh, don't worry, I'm looking after Wilf.
I mean,
you got this."
No, it's not gonna happen. I suppose. Like, I think for me too. Like, I know I was talking about this a little bit before, but there is a comic that involves Sutek. It's called Old Girl. And that's with the 10th Doctor. Is the Doctor that is involved with Sutek. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand. I don't understand the timeline. It's breaking me. It's breaking me.
I would ignore comics unless specifically they reference them.
I'm not ignoring it. I'm not. It's out there.
It is out there.
It's out
You're right.
there.
The continuity
and if people
of
look
Doctor
up
Who.
Sutek who have no idea who Sutek is, that's gonna pop up, right? There's 2 instances where they're gonna be like, I don't know what's happening. And same.
I mean,
same.
Off the beaten path for a second.
Yeah. Sorry.
I guess this isn't going to be on Disney Plus. It should be, but it's not going to be on Disney Plus. They are airing another episode of Tales of the TARDIS with Ncuti and Millie, and presumably it will be Pyramids of Mars. That it will be covering.
And you're gonna show me it.
So yeah, again, you're right. That should be available on Disney Plus. I don't know. It feels weird that they wouldn't
give us context.
Yeah, like
or we can't even sign up for it to get. we can't even get it via the streaming service. Like
the Prime audience, audience who would need that added context are the ones not able to watch it. It's just that's wild.
Yeah. So I think they're like, you just stay dumb. Don't become like the people over here that ask questions.
I will. While we're
fair enough, but
on that subject, no, like say you're right. There are these like, I don't know what to call them, like preliminary questions that aren't directing, like they're not part of the plot, but they are like questions you've got, like, why is the 14th Doctor not getting involved in this? It seems like he would do stuff with Carla and Candy, and it's all of that kind of stuff.
Mrs. Flood.
Yeah, Mrs. Flood. Like, how obviously Mrs. Flood might come into it next week, and we might get to see that. So I don't think we're going to get an answer on why the 14th Doctor's not involved. Russell's been very much like, he probably died in Venice or something, in a whirlpool, or whatever the fuck it was he said in that interview. I don't, like...
Wild, though. Wild. How many times can you see a trap? Okay, in the world where Una is tracking all of this already on top of it, like killing the game, right? You have to have known what happened with Maestro and how Maestro came about, and like, how do you not recognize the fucking name? How do you not recognize the name? I don't like.
Oh, don't like get me started on this anagram bullshit. The anagrams that aren't anagrams. Oh my god.
But like, if they're like, it's just, I was like, no. How did you not see this? Like, if you're tracking all of this, I don't care. Like, you're being so thorough, it seems, and then you just miss that. It just seems unrealistic. It seems like, why even have that name? Why even do that? It's not smart. It's not witty. It just fucking have it be a bad person. I don't care. Don't tell me that you wouldn't have noticed, though. Don't tell me that. I don't believe you. Sorry.
No, the Harriet Harbinger thing was just as stupid as the Harry Harbinger thing.
It really just the same fucking thing.
It's just as stupid. And then,
And
like,
they're already studying it now. Like, they're looking at it. They're looking for it already. They're already looking. Oh, I'm sorry. I just, it's just,
it's those logic holes,
and it's
baby.
not even that important.
No, it's not.
It's not even that important. But I'm like,
You can't help but notice
it. Oh, I
it.
hate being the way I am. I hate it.
But no, the anagrams
I hate it.
the anagrams were they weren't anagrams. Firstly,
They also just needed to not exist.
yeah.
We could have done without it.
Like, in order, like, when the doctor says wrong anagram when it changes into Sutek, it's like, oh, it's epic and big and stuff. But I was a bit like, but
it's not. That's not what it said.
That's not an anagram. That Russell, you're right. You know what an anagram is. That isn't one.
It wasn't an anagram. Yeah, I didn't know I had so many emotions about that until I'm now talking about it.
Another thing that I did think was pretty stupid is when they're looking at Susan Triad. Oh, TARDIS technology, which might still come back around because obviously we know Sutek is attached to the TARDIS and might be feeding that information into Susan Triad in some way. Or Susan Triad could still turn out to be actually Susan, who has had her mind wiped or whatever.
Yeah.
That could still be the case, but
I mean, seemingly being in a gajillion places all at once.
Which I think, I think that is Sutek's influence because he is attached to the TARDIS, so he is.
Oh, for sure, for sure. But there is time.
Yes.
Stuff happening.
But Ruby and the Doctor's reaction to being like, Susan's the name of my granddaughter is so dumb. It's like, is the Doctor going up to everyone in the street called Susan and like, do you recognize me?
I fucking called this though. I called this during the Devil's Cord with my partner, and I was like, I swear to God, they're gonna do some dumbass shit. They keep hinting at this family line, like it's gonna happen. I know it's gonna happen. I just hope it happens in the correct way for something that we have seemingly not fucking touched in a very, very, very long time.
Yeah, I understand. Like they did try to make a point of it in the episode to say why did the Doctor never go back? Why did the Doctor never? And it felt truthful enough to say like the reason that the Doctor left Susan was, as he said, I want you to have roots of your own. You can't just be hanging around me. And as time went on, he's like, whatever she's created for herself, I don't want to show up and ruin that. I don't like, so that felt truthful. So I could get his resilience to like going back to the only family he has as far as he's concerned and like fucking her life up.
Oh, 100%. I just knew they weren't going to leave it there.
Yeah, exactly. They're not.
I just was like, you're not bringing this up just to like.
Yeah. It's gonna be more involved next time. Like there's like 100%. I will be more surprised if actual Susan doesn't show up in the next episode.
Yeah.
Than not. Like
I don't even know.
Like I get
anymore.
that it still works in the sense of like fucking Sutek being a petty fucker by being like, I tricked you. But to be fair, the Doctor did throw Sutek into a time corridor and trap him in there. So it makes sense that he'd be this petty about it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but I would be more surprised if Susan doesn't show up. And how that links in to everything else that's going on. Like I say, many spinning plates, and I am like anticipating more of those plates to not land successfully than not.
I don't. Yeah.
But maybe I'll be surprised. Maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. Maybe it will all work out. I mean, traditionally, Russell's very good at writing part ones of his finales and then kind of stumbles the ball on the second part in some way, a la floating Jesus David Tennant and creepy Gollum David Tennant in the same episode, I might add. And just blow up all the Daleks because we can now. And all of that stuff. It does feel like a lot. It feels like there's a lot to cram into a finale to... And I know they're obviously leaving some things open for the next season, which is fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just don't fuck up Sutek. It's basic. Don't. If you're gonna bring a character back, like, you've done it the right way in terms of reintroducing it. And I'm not part of that crowd of people who criticize, like, unless you've seen the show, you're not gonna get it. Like, that's the whole point. That's the whole point of reintroducing them.
Yeah, 100%. Like, you're supposed to be able to live in that same fear as everyone else did the first time that they saw Sutek, right?
Exactly.
Like, and you're entitled to that feeling. Like, you deserve that as a viewer. I just feel like so much else was taken away from the big bad in this episode for me. And I know that's just me. Like I said, everything about it was Doctor Who coded. Not bad by any means. I'm just like, I just have questions. It's not even about Sutek.
Yeah.
And I hope like some of these get resolved. Like I did enjoy this. Like I loved Morris's edition, and I appreciate like Mel, like I said.
Mel's
like
great.
The supporting cast in this episode did really, really good.
Yes.
Phenomenal. I'm excited to see more of Rose with Unit in the future. Like, I think that's a really smart addition to kind of keep continuity going. If you're going to do that, though, you're going to have to address the fucking elephant in the room, which is the 14th Doctor just seemingly
hanging out with moles and
hanging out at home.
Yeah, having garden parties.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the supporting cast was doing a really good job.
Yeah.
I think I just got lost.
Yeah.
In questions.
It does feel, I don't know, I'm still, I don't know, I guess on the fence a little bit in that Unit are employing actual children. Seems slightly unsafe. Like, welcome to this military organization where Rose is 16, I think, and Morris is 13. Like, Morris is an accelerated genius 13-year-old, but even so, it's like we're still throwing you into a military organization that will deal with deadly threats. I mean, we did get the line from Rose sort of saying that they just get me looking into shoplifting. I didn't know if that was meant to be a reference to something or not. If it was, I didn't catch what it was. So I guess they are keeping her sort of on the preliminary, just like work experience, basically. Like,
yeah.
And the thing about Morris is that a character like that, the eccentric boy genius, has all the potential to be annoying as fuck. The stereotype of that type of character, or of boy genius know-it-all, can be very annoying, often in science fiction. I think he basically pulled it off. Like, it didn't come across as annoying or anything, but I was like asking the question of, should we be employing, even if they are geniuses, 13-year-olds into like, you see how many people in this room have guns? I will say in the Star Beast, and I will reiterate it again, I'm not a fan of the Unit soldiers' outfits. Still, their fucking hockey pads that they're wearing. Like, I don't know what it is about it. It's just, it seems just a little much, you know? Just pull it back a little bit, just a little bit. They don't have to be covered in these big bulky pads all over the place. Although I did like Ibrahim, I think is the character's name, when the time window crashed, even though the sound effect made me laugh out loud, the boom, fucking drop the bass sound effect that happened. But I did like that while everyone else was like recoiling, he was just like, I'm fucking ready. I'm not moving.
I'm gonna, Which still makes no sense to me. Like, like, we're dealing with Pantheons. I guess at that time maybe they didn't know.
They don't know at that point.
It's so, like, after the giggle, literally turning your whatever fancy fucking bullets you have into flowers.
I guess, how do you prepare for a godlike encounter? I guess they've maybe been trying to, but what can you actually do is the whole thing.
Don't get me started. That's guns, I suppose.
Yeah, that's Unit all over. That's the mistake they always. That's the whole relationship between the Doctor and the Brigadiers. Like, Doctor's like, yeah, is your solution to everything just going to be shooting it? Is that is that what you're going to try every time? Because it doesn't seem to work.
I also love how we're using like very dangerous things to power up the time window, and we're like, this is fine. this nuclear power is going to be totally not problematic ever. Ever. I'm like, that cracked me up. Just, yeah, easy peasy. Just
it's fine.
took all
They
of
know
the
what they're
nuclear
doing.
power.
They know what they're doing. It's fine. Morris, the 13-year-old in control of the giant nuclear power that creates a window into the past.
Yeah.
We'll be fine.
Yeah, everything's fine. I didn't mind the reveal with the dog. Like, I think it added, like, an element of we're so small.
Yes. Yeah, it does.
Compared to this big enemy.
It is imposing.
It was like a good reveal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is,
I could see, though, how you want it to go back to the normal.
I mean,
stature.
The dog element of it is kind of like there is, like, Sutek does do, like, a psychic projection of, like, their true form into the TARDIS in Pyramids of Mars, and it is like a dog like face. Yeah, I mean, in terms of a reveal, having like the big, like, imposing enemy, that, yeah, absolutely, that's the right way to do it. Because especially for like someone who has no idea who Sutek is, having a big angry looking dog, although oddly it looked very soft.
Can I boop that snoot? I would have been like, can I boop your snoot? I know you want to murder me, but just
yeah, exactly.
There's no way you wouldn't want to stop me from trying to boop that snoot. There's no fucking way. I would die. I would be like, this is worthy. Like, what a way to go out. I booped the most dangerous snoot in the world, and it was worth it.
But no, you're right. I think visually it is the right way to get across the element of the threat that they're dealing with, especially if you have no idea who it is. And actually, that's the thing, linking into the whole reveal, I alluded to in one of the other episodes we just reviewed, that a lot of this episode was kind of very flatly directed. It was literally just set up the camera, point out the people as they talk to each other. But that's just because that's what a lot of the episode was, all in all. Until we get to kind of the end of the episode, when all of a sudden it gets very Evil Dead Sam Raimi style directing, when people turn into zombie deadites. Which was cool. I was like, I reckon this will scare some kids, that when Susan looks up and it's just the sudden zoom and like I thought the makeup was really cool on them for the zombie deadite. I don't know what we're calling them. It did look cool.
It was a cool transition, kind of hearing like the inner monologue of Susan and then seeing the Harriet, the probably not real name, but for all intents and purposes, like kind of the shift of it happening, where it feels like Susan doesn't know what's really happening, like didn't seem really a part of it. Consciously, like, choose it, like it seems like there's an overpowering there, where Harriet just kind of seemed to be like popping up, like fucking
I'm in it,
citing these lines. So I think it was really cool to see kind of like the duality of that and that transition.
She did have the single tear, did Harriet. She did have the single but I guess with her being Harbinger, she, like, I mean,
it could be minor erasure stuff happening though too, you know what I mean?
I mean, the line that did sound really stupid in the moment was when she was like, I was born for this, like translating this fucking videotape, but then when it comes back round to the like this is literally why she is here, apparently, because she is Sutek's Harbinger. So no, it was a good reveal. Like I say, the last 10 minutes was great, and even though
I just have more questions now.
It's a struggle to really be like, this is how I feel about this episode, because it's so incomplete.
I don't even know how to word this without seeming like an idiot. Everyone, don't judge me. This is just what we do. This is what we do.
Go for it.
This is where mine goes. Okay, if unit has like magic and like silver and whatnot, like certain things for magic, I feel like unit would potentially have like some sort of Eye of Horus like thing.
I mean, they might.
What if they're all just wearing little necklaces with the eye? Like, would that protect them in any capacity? Like, what like symbolism is going to be? There's symbolism obviously with Sutek, and I don't know if they're ever going to play in it, but I feel like if they have stuff for magic, then I feel like they potentially might have stuff for like if this were to happen again in the future.
Yeah. No,
Um,
maybe there will be Sutek defenses that you now that
I don't,
have
yeah.
been working on, but like, I mean, what's interesting is that in Pyramids of Mars is that story takes place in Unit HQ before it becomes Unit HQ, like in the past.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it is kind of a fun full circle thing that Sutek comes back in Unit HQ again. Yeah, it's difficult to give a full opinion based on half the information. But
Yeah.
one thing I did, I keep meaning to mention it, and then we get
Sorry.
on one of our tangents. No, it's fine. I'm just as bad. I keep yes, mental
I'll
note.
shut up.
I will bring this up, but then we go somewhere. I did want to talk about Mel a little bit because one of our criticisms of the giggle was that, oh, Mel's back. This should be a moment, but she doesn't really have much time with the Doctor. She doesn't really get like that. Oh, she's back in the show. This is exciting. She's returned. But it appears that she's going to be more of a regular, seemingly.
Mm.
That she'll be coming back more often. But I did really like, because Mel in the old show, when she was in it, they didn't really know what to do with her. I think it's fair to say. They didn't like. She was literally employed by the producer at the time because she could scream and match the closing intro music for the cliffhanger. that's what, and she was a bit of a name at the time in the theater circles and all of that. The best elements of that character, I think Russell did a really good job of bringing out here, is that, I mean, she traveled with one of the most grumpy, emotionally all over the place versions of the character. So in terms of dealing with the Doctor when he is being very grumpy and like, how do you calm him down? Like, she's kind of perfect, one of the most perfect people to know how to handle that situation.
Mm-hmm.
And it did, I think he did a really good job of bringing out that part of, she knows how to handle the Doctor when he's being uncontrollable. In that scene when he's punching that lift and she's like, listen, buddy, you need to get it together and do what you do and fix it. And
Yep.
that's what she, when she was at her best in the old show, that's what she would be able to do. She had that sense of like, like, there's a stupid running gag that I'm going to make you healthy, Colin Baker, Doctor. I'm going to get you on that exercise bike. You're going to look after yourself, God damn it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it felt like the upward trajectory of taking that element of her character to a more mature conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
So I did like that they were able to tap into that. And
Mm-hmm.
she's also meant to be very smart, which the old show never really did anything with. So they're showing that she's very clever. They also alluded to, I think this is extended media stuff. I don't know if it was in a book or an audio. I'm not sure, but we never
Mm-hmm.
in the show got any answers as to where Mel's family is or where she came from. But they said in the episode that she lost her family and the Doctor helped her, which I think is alluding to one of the novels in the 90s or one of the forecast audio plays where they sort of did how did the Doctor and Mel actually meet, because in the show they kind of do this weird thing where they skip ahead to them already being together, and we
Mm-hmm.
don't actually see how they meet. I don't know if I'm right or wrong about this, and I kind of don't want to look just in case maybe they'll tap into this in future episodes of the show
Yeah.
to explore it, but I think I know what she lost her family to. I won't say just in case, because it might be a spoiler in case they do want to do something in the show, and maybe we'll talk about it later. If not, in years to come, we'll see.
At some point in the future we will.
But no, I did really like Mel. I did like how they utilized her, and I like that they paired the Doctor and Mel together in this, which I think was kind of lacking in the giggle a little bit. There was a shame that they didn't do as much together as you might want them to.
Yeah, I would love to see more Mel. I think Mel is really good. Mel knows her part at any given moment and just does it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like,
yeah,
there's no questions. And like when, like, which is something I think like Ruby needs to learn. Like when the Doctor was like giving instructions and Ruby's like, but why? And like Kate's like, you don't ask questions, you just do it.
Shit's getting serious, okay?
Yeah,
There are times when you just listen, and it was a good performance from Kate as well, because like obviously she just lost a soldier because of what the doctors said, but she also knows that if we get through this, we have to listen to him.
Yep.
Like it's
regardless of what just happened.
Yeah.
Like we're not here to like harp on that right now. We're here to listen and solve the problem.
I think this episode, like I say, it's hard to give it a full rating considering it's literally half of a story. But
yeah, I mean, we could always wait.
We could. I feel like I could give it a preliminary score and then I can bump it up or down depending on how next week goes.
Fair.
Like I say, I enjoyed how Doctor Who coded tradition, like just very back to basics Doctor Who it was in a lot of ways. I enjoyed that they're really building up a unit family and like doing the groundwork so we actually, if the Doctor ever comes back to Earth, there are other characters who we can potentially run into and doing all that kind of thing. I thought Ncuti was really good in this episode. All in all, he felt very much like probably the most like the Doctor for me throughout the episode. Maybe other than Boom, but Boom was kind of like a because of the setting of Boom, it was different. And you know, Millie was still good. I still think the title's stupid. I think there are, like you say, a bunch of questions which are kind of distracting, and we don't know if we'll get answers to some of them because I don't know if they're actually important to Russell or not.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
time will tell on that. So I think as a preliminary score, I'm gonna give this 6.5 fluffy dogs.
fluffy dogs.
Fluffy dogs, yeah. 6.5 fluffy dogs with the potential of going up or down depending on how. Because I will, once we get to the end of this, I will, as I do with all two-parters, I genuinely just look at them as one complete story once you've seen
all the information.
Once you have all of the information. So the score will potentially change afterwards. I think there's a lot of potential to have a satisfying ending there. I just don't know if we will.
Yeah, that's it. That's the thing. Oh, I don't know. I just fuck. I'll give it a 7 just because based on my other rating of the last episode, I feel like it would be rude to say that this is lower than that.
Yeah.
And like that 7 is mainly because it's like a Doctor Who coded. It feels more like Doctor Who. So I can feel someone coming in and being like, this is it. Like, this is Doctor Who. So despite my questions, I think like I have to give it the honor of like, it's been a rough season. And we just want Doctor Who. And it was Doctor Who.
Yeah.
But that score can change drastically depending on the next episode.
Yeah.
I'm only giving it a 7 and not a 6 based on my rating of the episode before because I don't think it would be fair. And I don't really feel like changing that score right now in my brain.
No, that's fair.
So yeah, I'll say 7 out of 10.
Right now.
Soft puppers.
Soft puppers.
Boops of the snoot.
Boops the snoots.
If not green eyes.
I will say I got a message from one of our listeners. Hey, listeners. Randomer did message me and said, this is the first episode I watched and he said my dad didn't complain about something. I got the same message. Yeah. This is the first time he watched it and was like you say, this feels like a Doctor Who episode. Like it's and I think that's what a lot of people have been kind of wanting from this season a bit. Like, because there's been so many wild swings in different directions, trying different things out and experimenting with Ncuti and like where they want to take it, and to go to an episode that just feels like this the show that I remember kind of thing. Yep. Kind of put a lot of people into it. This is nice.
Yeah.
No, that's good. All right then. Well, there we go. That's Dot and Bubbles 73. Not Dot and Bubbles. Dot and Bubble Rogue.
Dot and Bubbles.
That I read the wrong complete. I read through my book completely. I went up, down, left, and right.
I messed up so many characters' names today that everyone's gonna be like, "This bitch doesn't even have the right to be talking about Doctor Who." And you're probably right. I don't know why you listen to us.
You shush.
You know.
You shush. All right. Dot So Dot and Bubble for me 7. Rogue, did I end up with a 6 or 5.5? Did I stick with 5.5? I think I stuck with 5.5. And then 6.5 for this one. I can't even remember my own score. I need to write these down. 6.5.
Don't ask me. I can't remember. Please don't ask.
6.5. It was literally 2 seconds ago. I'm going with 6.5. 6.5 for this one. I'm gonna, for the next episode, The Empire of Death, which is a great fucking title. We really went what? That it's the most, that is the most Doctor Who title we've had in a really long time.
A hot minute. The trailer's also super interesting. Like the Doctor just being like, with my last 2 or the beating hearts, I can't remember, the 2 beating hearts of the last time,
oh
Lord,
my god, that bit
I will end you. And I
was like, oh, for
do you think he has 2 hearts? do you think the Doctor has 2 hearts?
Do you think he does? Do you think he has?
Do you think there's 2 hearts in there?
I was so I'm so sad. Timeless Child, why did you have to take this away from me? I thought we was done with the last of the Time Lords bullshit. And we're right
Never
back.
Never gonna be done.
We're right back there again. Never mind. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But
Just wait till our Justice for Jodie season.
But no, I'm gonna try and keep my expectations at a good mid ground. So then hopefully I'll enjoy the episode more. Even though I am excited by Sutek, but at the same time I know there's capacity here for Sutek to be done dirty, so I'm gonna keep it right there in the middle.
I think I'm gonna make a drinking game for us.
Oh, good. That'll be interesting. Okay, well, I've been Martin, or Indie Guy. There's a bunch of links down below if you're on YouTube to other things. That over there be Tash / Atasha. Links to Tash's stuff in the links down below. If you're listening to on Spotify, thank you for listening to all of this rambly goodness. It ain't easy going through 3 whole episodes where boop. Hopefully we covered everything. Hopefully we did our jobs here today and you enjoyed listening.
We tried.
Yeah, it was tough. Sorry, it's me. It's my schedule being absolute poo-poo pants that we're having to do,
Martin doesn't
do it this
like
way.
me anymore,
That's not true. That's a lie. Not true. But next week, though, I think
abandoning me.
Next week we should be fine to just record the normal time. So hopefully no one will have to wait for our thoughts on the finale. So we should be all good. But yeah, that's this episode of Adventures in Who. I've forgotten which episode we're up to. I don't know. We might be in double digits now. I don't know. Thank you for watching / listening. We'll catch you on the next one for our review of Empire of Death. I guess we'll probably we might have to do a review of Pyramids of Mars at some point. I guess to be on topic and stuff at some point. But we'll see. But yeah,
I'm down.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.